Alrighty, and we are live. Welcome everyone to the return of Coaster Hour and episode 41 of Coaster Time. I am your host, Carrick from Coaster Hour, and I'm very glad to be back after a 2-month break. And I'll kind of go into what's sort of going on there with me returning. But like I said, very happy to be back. And so, obviously in a new place with the move, I'll kind of go into that in a little bit. Lighting's not super ideal, and I'm still looking for the adapter for the normal camera I use, but got to work with what I got, so that's pretty much what is going on. Of course, as always with these streams, I will be having multiple different segments, and you can kind of view the itinerary in the description down below. You can look at where the timestamps are going to be, and you'll kind of get a good gist for what's going to be going on in this stream. Pretty basic stream. A lot of segments from the farewell stream just because I've been very busy, but I'm happy to be back. You can expect some more Coaster Time streams to be happening this summer, and I'll kind of be explaining what's going on here. So it's been a little over 2 months, but I am back. I listed when I took a break. The reasons I took a break was one, because of college. I have finished my semester, my final semester at community college, so that is great. The other reason was a move. I mentioned that I was going to be moving, and obviously, as you can see from the setup, I am in a different place. So I have moved, so that is all taken care of. Still getting used to some things around here, so obviously, like I said, lighting setup isn't great, and I don't have the adapter for the camera that I would normally use, so there is that, but like I said, pretty good. And third, I also wanted to get a job. Well, I am happy to say that I will be starting to work in after I returned from a trip, so I was able to get a job, which is great. So kind of all three of those things worked. I was able to get those things done, and so that allowed me to return to the channel and feel comfortable doing so. Now, with that being said, I am planning to return for the summer, so about from now until some point in August. We'll see what kind of happens when I get back into college, how I can kind of balance that out. I may have to take a break again if things get a little too busy, but I'm not planning to do that. It's just something that's on the table possibly. But like I said, I'm back for the summer. I'll be doing some streams at the very least. You can probably expect to see some other content, and that's pretty much that. So with that being said, I'm going to be starting off with beginning Q&A. No news today. There's just been a lot that's happened. I couldn't really figure out how I would even do a news segment for this stream. So if you have any questions about any news items, you can certainly let me know here. But this is beginning Q&A. As for any parks I've been to since I've taken the break, I've had 4 separate visits to Six Flags Magic Mountain. If you saw on 808 Coaster Life's channel today, he just uploaded vlog 1. He actually came down here to Fresno, and we ended up spending 2.5 days at Six Flags Magic Mountain. So you'll see some content from him kind of based off that. And he just released vlog 1 today from the first half day we were there a little while ago. So that is great. Make sure to check that out. It was a really fun trip overall. And then also I was able to get one of the local kitty credits, coaster at Blackbeard's, which is an ENF Miler kitty coaster. I was finally able to do it. I actually rode it with Jace, so that was actually a pretty fun experience. Super nice ride-ops there. They let us ride. They weren't going to stop the coaster until they told us, until we told them to stop it. So we got like anywhere between 7 to 10 cycles on it. It was really fun. So we also got to do that as well. And then, of course, I'm going to be taking a trip to Holiday World for Hollywood Nights. That's going to be happening very soon. I've been kind of busy prepping for that, and I'll be leaving pretty soon. But that's going on, and I'll also be hopefully going to Beach Bend as well, because I'm hoping Kentucky Rumbler will be open. They just put some Titan track on the ride, so it's been closed for the last few weeks. It was supposed to reopen today. I have not gotten any word that it did, so I'm hoping it'll be reopened by the time I go there. If not, I won't go, but if it is open, I'll be there. And then I'm also going to Kentucky Kingdom on the trip for the first time, so that is going to be pretty exciting stuff coming up in the next few weeks. So, like I said, any questions you have, let me know. And thank you guys, Stamford Bridge, Frontier Coasters. Nice to see you again. Loyal viewers from a long time. Really appreciate you, and thank you for welcoming me back. As with Insane Coaster Junkie, former guest, of course, of Coaster Hour. So nice to see you here as well. Any new coasters? Pretty much the only thing I've ridden that's new is the Kitty Credit. I had never ridden that. It's at my local family entertainment center called Blackbeard's coaster. It's just an ENF My Or Kitty coaster. To be fair, it's actually pretty good. It has a decent first drop for a kiddie coaster, and the first few the airtime hills on it are actually pretty solid. And we got to go around multiple times, so it warmed up as we kind of went around more and more. So it was good to do that. That's the only new coaster I've done. On this next trip I'm doing, I've already done Holiday World, but I'm hoping to pick up the Howler Credit. Anything at Beach Bend will be new, and same with Kentucky Kingdom. So that is going to be some of the new things that I plan on doing. Yeah, Jace got to experience all the coasters for the first time. I guess a little bit of a spoiler, although probably not too much, but I'm happy to say that we were able to do all the adult coasters. They all managed to be open during the 2.5 days we were there, which was incredibly fortunate. I honestly was expecting 1 or 2 things to be closed, but all 16 of the adult coasters managed to be open, and we rode all of them, which was fantastic. So, and even a few kitty credits, which you'll kind of see in the vlogs coming up. I won't go into too much other information about that, because I know that Jace wants to talk about his experiences, and you'll kind of see that through the vlogs. But that was a very fun trip to do, like I said. So glad to see you watched it. Do you think Six Flags finally has a strategy? Well, I know the recent report for the Six Flags earnings report was pretty good from what I heard, and it sounds like the sort of board is pretty pleased with Salim Basul right now, so we'll kind of see what's going on. I'm not gonna lie, I was at Magic Mountain for one of their new events that they had. It was a fiesta event of some sort. Didn't really seem like there was that much going on. So as for the new events, at least at Magic Mountain, it doesn't really seem like it's adding a whole lot. And there are still some issues with Magic Mountain that I think have become a little more apparent since he came in. But at least all the coasters were open, which, since it's technically very early season, almost sort of off season for the park, I mean, that's still pretty good. I think they're kind of getting something rolling. I think we're still kind of learning about what they're planning to do, especially in terms of ride additions, because they're adding some stuff this year, but they were all pretty much last minute additions, besides anything that got delayed, like Aquaman. So hopefully things will continue to improve the parks that have been benefiting. I know there's been some that have been benefiting big time from the change. Hopefully they'll continue to progress. Hopefully some of the other parks that have been a little bit on the fence get to improve, and we get to see things look great for Six Flags moving forward. But we still got to see what's happening, because there's still a lot of unknowns with what Six Flags is doing. Like I said, especially with the ride additions, I have no idea what's exactly going to happen for 2024, if it's going to look kind of like what we're seeing this year, or if it'll look different. So that'll be something that's pretty interesting for sure. Without going into specifics, there were a few things that were maybe a little surprising. And there were certainly some coasters that I will say that we disagree on, with some sort of placings where we think they rank or how good they are. But I'm not going to go into too much there. So I can just say that much, that there were some that I was maybe a little surprised by. So, but like I said, I'm not going to go into specifics, but stay tuned for that. yesterday you went to, or today actually, you went to Frontier City. Nice. It's improved a lot, but still a lot of things need work as well. That's good to hear. That is good to hear. One of the biggest complaints about Magic Mountain in the last decade is not enough food venues, and the ones that are open are understaffed, so long, slow lines for any food and drink. Yeah, that's kind of something we dealt with. Now, mobile ordering, Jace actually used it. I had never used it. It works great, so that is awesome to see. I know that's something that they focused on within the last few years, and I can say that it works great. So if you want to skip those lines, avoid waiting, you can do that. It actually works great, so I'm happy to say that. And yeah, I can still kind of agree though with food venues being closed, because I've wanted to try the charged tacos at the underground area, but it's always been closed every time I've went, and that continued when we were there. Technically, it was open the Sunday we were there, but we were only there a few hours, and we were going to eat something afterwards, so it didn't really make a ton of sense to go there, and it ended up being closed the next 2 days we were there. So yeah, there's still some issues there for sure, and there were some decently long food lines, which is actually why we went with the mobile ordering, which worked very well, like I said. What do I think is the most polarizing coaster in the US? Most polarizing, probably Magnum XL 200. I think that's the one where it's like everyone's kind of all over the spectrum with that one, and myself included. I'm kind of like in the middle. I don't like completely hate it, but I'm not like in love with it. I do like it, and I think if I rode it more times, I would like the ride even more. But I'm kind of like, I think it's a solid coaster, and especially, obviously, it's a very significant historical one, but I don't think it's like one of the best coasters at Cedar Point or one of the best coasters in the world like some people do, but I don't think it's like this horrible train wreck that's completely unrideable like some other people say. So I think that probably is the most polarizing one. You could maybe argue X2 or Skyrush in there as well. Yeah, Skyrush, I just saw Michael mention that, and welcome to the stream. But I think Magnum's probably the top one, because I think that one is kind of the one that's the most like has the most variety in terms of answers. So there you go. Yeah, mobile ordering worked surprisingly well. Yep, I was surprised too. I actually was. I'm like, okay, that's good to know. I'll just do that almost every time I'm at Six Flags now, so that's great. And also, there's Jace, 808 Coaster Life. Make sure to subscribe to him for the vlogs that I mentioned earlier. I'm in them also, so another reason to subscribe and watch those for sure. So, and they were a lot of fun to do. So, I wanted to mention that again. Frontier City worked on one of their 2 bathrooms. It's a lot better. There's an issue, though, with the lack of bathrooms. Interesting. That's good, though, that they're working on those, because that's kind of a big thing to work on. You got to have good, clean bathrooms. So that's good to hear for sure. It's so weird. So, like, the comments are showing up, but for some reason on my thing, they're like slightly cutting off. It's really weird for StreamYard. I don't know. I guess I know they changed some things since I last did this. But anyways, maybe go the big one route and get new track. Do you think it would be viewed in a more positive light? At least for me, the track work was not the problem. I don't think the coaster is rough, and maybe for some people it would fix things. I think the issue with it, or the thing that is like so polarizing, is just the triangle hills, which you can't really fix that. So, like, the airtime is super strong. It's very quick though, and it can be very painful. I think for most people, that's kind of the area of contention. It's whether they enjoy those moments or not. They're super unique. They're super distinct. And like, I can enjoy it to an extent, but it is really painful as well, which kind of took away for me the airtime on that ride. And it's in a way that's like not super fun. Like I know people are like Skyrush is painful. There's other coasters that have a pretty polarizing reputation due to comfortability that I enjoy. Magnum, it's just you're slamming yourself into a decently padded but still metal bar. So I think that's kind of where the polarizing sort of opinions lies in those kind of hills. Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't really find the roughness to be that much of an issue. Like I said, it's just kind of the hills. Maybe if they could, I mean, the problem is they're so aggressive that you could pad the restraint as much as you wanted and probably would still hurt a little bit. But maybe something along that route, doing something with the restraint. What have I heard about the SeaWorld opening in UAE? So SeaWorld Abu Dhabi that just opened. They have 2 coasters. I haven't heard much about the family coaster, although, I mean, it's a family coaster. The scenery looks really cool, though, as do the trains. But Manta, I've seen a POV of it. I've heard positive reviews from it. I'm not going to lie, from the POV, it looked a little sluggish, but, you know, it's brand new. So the layout still looks pretty cool. And, I mean, it still looks like a really fun ride for sure. And definitely looks like a good addition for, I mean, a good ride for that park and just the UAE in general. But I've heard the, like, actual park itself, it's mostly an aquarium. I've heard it's beautifully themed. Like, it's one of the most beautiful aquariums in terms of, like, theming, and the animal enclosures are, like, insanely good. So I've heard that. And, I think that's probably like one of the most important things, because if that park kind of centered around its exhibits, which it mostly does, they have to be really good. And from what I've heard, they're absolutely spectacular. They do have the world's largest tank now also, which is a very fascinating design, just kind of looking at videos from it, because I've heard they intentionally designed it in a way so you can't see the entire sort of tank in one view, which, I mean, it's probably too massive to see it anyways, but it has like canyons and a lot of different views and stuff, so it actually looks really unique. It definitely seems like a place I would love to visit if I were to go to the UAE, when an absolute no-brainer to do, along with Ferrari World and Warner Bros. Movie World. So definitely looks quite good. I like your 10 random RCDB roller coaster series. I need to look at this here. Thank you, Michael. It's been a while since anyone's brought that up, but I appreciate it. I think they are informative and a fun watch. Will you do any more of those videos? I promise I will watch and comment as soon as I can after you post. I might. It's not something that I was like super considering, but now that you mention it, I could do that. The only problem is that I may have to shorten it. Like, it might be still 10 random RCDB coasters, but I may not necessarily look at the parks. Or maybe I'll make the parks a separate thing, because I think the videos didn't do super well, because for one, I think they're too long. And then on top of that, it's just kind of, that's a decent amount to do in like one recording sitting. Because even though like some of those videos are like 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes there's like stuff that happens that you don't see and it actually takes longer. Like, it's not horrible, but it's something I probably would have to change up. And if you're okay with that, like I said, if I like excluded parks or made it like a separate like sort of part 2 sort of thing, that's probably what I would go with. Like, so... or maybe just different series, maybe just go random RCDB parks just by looking at the coaster. But that kind of gets complicated. But I like the idea. I like that you mentioned that for sure. It's something to consider. Let's see. Been lurking since the top. Also, welcome back, History and Leisure. Ended up with a good few hours at Dorney Park. That's good that you got to visit there. Rode a Woodstock clone in Spain, so it looks like he had a good visit to Dorney, though, so that's good to hear. The Bollywood Parks closing was a shocker. I think I mentioned this on Instagram. I don't actually think it's closing for good. Because if you remember, that same resort actually announced that they were going to be opening a new Madrid soccer team themed park. And it was kind of like, well, where are they going to put it? There's not really a lot of land or space to put that anywhere. My guess is that they're retheming that park to the Madrid soccer team. I think that's what's happening. That is a complete theory, but it's been something that's been discussed online, and it kind of makes sense because the closure was like really abrupt and out of nowhere. And even when it closed, they kind of seem to be teasing new experiences. So I think it will reopen, but I can't say that with absolute certainty. But I think that's what's going on there. And I'd honestly be kind of surprised if it didn't. I'd be willing to bet money that that's what's going on there. I did actually reach out to Skylane to see if they knew anything about Bollywood Express reopening, and they told me I needed to add, that was a question for the park. So not really anything there that I can add. They didn't really give me anything. What do you think the new height of the dragster spike will be? I've seen a lot of debate over this. So yes, I believe it. That dragster will be getting a back spike. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't been following that sort of saga like a lot. I know there's been like people saying, "Oh, they could make it taller than King Khan, take the record." It would be funny to see, and I wouldn't be completely shocked if they did it, but I just don't think it'll actually do that. I think the spike will be probably around like, probably somewhere between 300 to 400 feet. I don't think it'll be taller than Dragster itself. So I don't think Cedar Point would do that. I don't think they would take the record in a way that would be disingenuous to how they did it previously. I mean, they totally could. I mean, but I just don't get the feeling they would. And on top of that, it would be way more expensive to build a spike that is taller than King Ka as opposed to like a 300 to 400 foot one. And I mean, you have Falcon's Flight opening at some point, potentially, of course, but I mean, it is vertical and it is getting going. So it's not even like that record will hold up for that long. Of course, that's assuming a lot of things, but I mean, there's literally a project going on that would break that record. So I don't think it'll try to beat King Ka for the tallest coaster with the spike height. So like I said, somewhere between 300, 400 feet perhaps. But I am certainly no expert when it comes to that. Manta's very Mach-like. Yeah, it's a very Mach rides Intamin coaster. It's pretty funny actually. So, and I'm pretty sure for the promotional material, they just used Manta, like the SeaWorld San Diego one. They just used clips of that, which I mean, it looks very similar to it. So I don't blame them. So, yeah, it definitely does seem more like a Mach launch coaster than an Intamin one, for sure. I definitely got that vibe as well looking at it. Let's see. Got to History and Leisure, got to do a few rare flats. Enterprise, Apollo, Whip, both sides of Dominator. I'm not familiar with with what models some of those are, but that's nice. And Demon Drop. Says Demon Drop is lucky to open by 2 p.m. And it had... I need to find the thing on here. I have to look in a different place because for some reason StreamYard's like kind of cutting off where the comments are, so I can't see like the ending. It's like very bizarre. Where is it on the thing? Oh, I think I got it. Okay, never mind. I don't think it's on here. But were you able to do Demon Drop? Or did you miss out on that? Yeah, I guess is the question. With the removal, we don't actually know that those are getting removed. Those are not confirmed. I mean, I know Mind Eraser has been taken off of the map, and Kong's been kind of in a weird place. we still don't really know what's going on there. I mean, I think Mind Eraser at Six Flags America, there's a decent chance that one is getting removed for good. Kong, I'm not as familiar with what's going on. I don't believe that's what's happening. So I'm not gonna say anything there until we get something more concrete. But there does seem to be some sort of SLC purge kind of going on, at least a little bit, because you have the one at Warner Bros. Movie World in Australia. You have the one at Kentucky Kingdom T3, which I'm actually low-key pretty mad that I'm missing that. I would have loved to try it out just to see if it was worth the hate or not, but now I'm not going to be able to do it. And we'll see if there's others that follow. I think Mind Eraser is pretty safe bet. I don't know what's going on with Kong, so I can't say anything there. And then as far as the Six Flags chain goes, I think, well, Riddler's Revenge is fine, or Riddler Revenge is fine. The one in Mexico is also fine because they literally just put the new restraints on it. Mind Eraser at Darien Lake, I think it's kind of in a weird spot. I think maybe, I forget if, I don't think they've invested in that one. They were considering it, I think. So we'll see with that one, but maybe that one could go. Potentially Kong could go. I don't know that that's anywhere near confirmed. I haven't heard about that one recently being like on the, like it's getting removed. And I'm trying to think of if there's any others. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any others within the Six Flags chain. Oh, I guess you have Ednor at La Ronde. I assume that one's fine because they've kind of gone on a coaster purging. So, and over the last like 10 years or so. So I think that one's probably fine. But I could see what you mean. Maybe there's going to be some SLCs in some other places that go. I certainly think that could be a possibility. So I think we'll see more and more go out as this decade rolls for sure. Let's see. Yeah, like I said, I think if I took out the parks, it would probably do a lot better and it'd be easier for me to do. Kind of sucks because I love also looking at the parks in the same video, but I think it probably would work better. Maybe I assume that Bollywood Express is out of their hands. Well, I mean, yeah, it literally is a question. I mean, they can't really do anything about it, the manufacturers, so since the park owns it, so it's kind of the decision of the park. So that also probably explains why Skyline couldn't really give much of an answer there. Your guess, 475 feet. Like I said, I don't think they're going to go for the record. I just really don't. So maybe they will. Of course, I mean, it's all speculation really right now, but I just don't think they're going to do it. Let's see what else. If Magic Mountain had to remove a major coaster, which one would I choose? Scream. Scream for sure. We talked about this one. But I think Scream's really redundant. I think it could be a fine coaster if they were willing to relocate it and it's not too old. It could go to another park in the chain. And it's just kind of, it's pretty redundant and not really all that good. It doesn't really get that much ridership anyways. I think it would be great if, I think I mentioned this before, but I'd love to see a tilt coaster go in that spot if the land is able to work for it. Put it in the Scream Punk area and do something kind of like put some theming on it that is kind of similar to what they're doing for Six Flags Qiddiya with the steampunk theme. I think that would be pretty nice to do there. Or put a new entrance there, or both, whichever works. Just something like that. But I think Scream, if it were up to me, I would love for Scream to be the next to go. I don't know if that ends up happening, though, in real life. What coaster do I think Six Flags America will get? Man. I mean, I I could see them deciding to put in one of those Skyline Piscetti Bowl coasters. Just be like, here you go. The dueling Piscetti Bowl coasters. Um, it's honestly, that's on a park I've thought about that question for a while. Six Flags America would get Scream. Yeah, that would be pretty funny. I mean, they already have a floorless though, so I mean, it would be better. It would probably be better than Firebird, but I mean, yeah, that would be pretty tough. It's hard to really say because we don't. The problem is we don't really know who Six Flags is going to be willing to work with, and who they're going to be buying from under Salim in like a normal year where they're spending money, where it's not like super rushed. I think we're still learning about that, so I can't really say anything with confidence there. So I mean, like I said, I mean a Skyline Piscetti Bowl because I think they'll probably add those to a few other parks. But we'll see what happens there. Take out Goliath. I mean, yes, but they're not doing that, unfortunately. Oh boy, and you'll see. Goliath Goliath is a ride. I'll say that. Do I think Iron Dragon Ninja or any other Arrow suspended coasters could get new trains from Vekoma? I don't think. I really don't think so. I think they're just gonna roll. I mean, with Cedar Fair, I don't think they're gonna do it because I mean they have 3 coasters and there's been no sign of them doing that. So I think those will stay. If Magic Mountain did that with Ninja, it wouldn't shock me. That definitely seems like something they would consider doing, but I hope not. I hope they stick with the Arrow trains and they're able to get parts for them. Let's see what else. At least improve. Yeah, you guys will see that in the vlog with Goliath and everything. That yes. Goliath was an experience the one time we rode it on that trip. That's all I'm gonna say there. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything. I think I've caught up. And so that's about 30 minutes of Q&A. Probably a little longer than I should have done, but hey, I've been out for a while, so that's good. So I'm going to go into our next segment. Although actually I just saw a question recently about the tower. There's not really been much. I know there was some speculation. There's some markers in the Samurai Summit area, but there's not really a whole lot of activity going around the tower right now. I know there was some speculation that they were going to do something with the tower because they had some pictures and some videos of the tower like for the first time in several years. But I was telling people when that came out that, I mean, they did that. The reason they had videos and pictures all of a sudden from the tower was because they did a contest between, I think it was some sort of competition between the first responder departments of LA County. They basically had to see who could run up the tower the fastest. And I think that's more why they were showing the tower. I don't really think it was a teaser for anything that's going on. I would love for them to fix it. I have doubts of that happening anytime soon. And I don't really think anything is going on there. So, like I said, I'd love to be wrong. I have not heard anything in specific to the tower, and I think the sort of discussion of something going on with it, I think was over exaggerated. Unfortunately, I'd love to be wrong though. Coaster Dash in the chat, welcome back. Thank you so much for saying that. Glad to see you here. I saw you just recently hit 20,000 subs. I couldn't quite make this stream, but obviously a huge accomplishment for anyone who hasn't followed or subscribed to Coaster Dash. Absolutely make sure to. Former guest of Coaster Time, of course. So thank you for checking out the stream. All right, I think I got through pretty much all of the questions. So with that being said, I'm going to be going into the quiz. So We'll be doing this kind of like how we did it in the farewell stream, if you saw that. So I'm going to be pulling that up. Pretty much, you don't have to have a second application. I'm going to be showing the questions through a slide, and that's going to be pretty much how we're doing this. And so you're going to try to guess the questions in the chat. I also need to pull out my phone to actually have a timer. So it'll be about, I think there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll give about 60 seconds to answer. And that'll be what we're doing. But anyways, yeah, so that'll be the quiz. So I'm going to bring it up here. And that is going to be what we're doing. So, yep. All right, and the quiz will start pretty much as soon as yeah, my sound cut out. Yes, thank you. Oh wait, shoot, that's not. They changed some things with this. There we go. That's the real way to do it. My bad. Sorry about that. As I was saying, we were doing the quiz, and I have a scoreboard that I'm also going to keep track of. Hopefully that'll be everything there. But now I am back. So first answer is the only one that counts. So that's what I was trying to say. And that is the timer. So time is up. That will end the answers for the first question. Looks like literally everyone here got that right. It is indeed C, Dwayne Martin. I guess the other names did not fool anybody. I mean, I guess since I have the Random RCDB Coasters series, I would hope you guys would know who it is. So that is good that you all got it. So I'm going to be putting everyone's in here. So Charged on PC got it, Inverting Thrills got it. Frontier Coasters got it. Marty got it. This is going to take a while for me to get up. This is like kind of the one issue of doing it this way. But I like doing it instead of using like some sort of separate application because everyone can get involved. It's easy for everybody. Stamford Bridge got it. And 808 Coaster Life also got it, along with James Minor. And I'll see if that's everybody. Yep, alright. Hopefully the audio is good now because, yeah, basically I accidentally exited myself out again. So that's nice, but there we go. Alright, I think I got everybody. Looks good. Alright, now we're going to be headed into question 2. And yeah, there's your answer right there. Question 2. Of these countries, which one has the least coasters? And this timer has started. So, of these countries, which one of these has the least coasters? Is it Vietnam, Australia, Mexico, or Brazil? And like I said, only your first answer counts. So that is pretty much your final answer once you put it in. We do have some different answers here, so someone will be wrong this time. So we'll see how that goes. It's not even worth. I was gonna like make a statement saying how much time's left, but the problem is that it won't really matter because the thing's delayed by a few seconds. But here we go. Let's see. New Zealand. Well, yeah, if it were an option. And that is the timer. That will end it for this question. And if I'm correct, Nobody got this right. The answer is actually B. Australia has the least coasters by a wide margin because Australia, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but if you look on RCDB, Vietnam, Mexico, Brazil, they have way more coasters than Australia does. Yes, believe it or not, Australia only has like a little over, I think, 30 roller coasters. And I believe all of these countries have at least well over 40 and some over 50. So, yep, that is your answer. And I don't believe anyone got that right because everyone was either convinced it was Vietnam or Brazil. So, it was neither of those. So, there you go. Guess that one was a pretty tough question. All right, moving on to our next one. Which of these roller coasters opened first? And yes, the picture is a hint, as ridiculous as it may look. The timer has started, so there you go. Australia is going to be your answer, but you didn't put it in chat. Also, guys, do not use RCGB or the internet for this. Should be pretty obvious, but guess I should mention that. Alrighty, now for this one, also, we're going to have some people who are wrong. So the first question, everyone was right. And then the second question, everyone was wrong, which is kind of funny. So I guess that's sometimes how the cookie crumbles. And once again, people are split between two answers. We'll see if that works out or if that ends up making it so everyone is wrong. So guess we will see. Which of these coasters opened first is the question. And that is the timer. So I am going to put N right there. And the correct answer is Swarm at Thorpe Park. And the reason I put in Gangnam Style is because that released in 2012. Swarm is the only one of these coasters that opened in 2012. All these other coasters, Full Throttle and Outlaw Run, opened in 2013. And Flying Dinosaur, I just kind of threw in there as a random wild card. I believe that actually opened in 2016. So that is like nowhere close. But yeah, that is the correct answer. So Inverting Thrills now has 2 points. Charged on PC. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Frontier Coasters also got it. And then Marty also got this one. So updating the scores here. Stamford Bridge got it. History and Leisure is on the board officially, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there if you answered for the first one. And then I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so yep, there you go. And we'll move on to the next question. Question 4. Which of these roller coasters has onboard audio? And no, it is not the one pictured, but that's just there as an example. Timer has already started. Alrighty. And specifically onboard audio. Obviously, some of these coasters have sound and a soundtrack, but we're specifically talking onboard audio on the trains, not necessarily like, you know, around it or something like that. So wanted to mention that to avoid any confusion. Like I said, it's specifically onboard audio. And it's about to end here pretty quickly. And that is the end of that. So, Mustard Seed, I'll give you it. It was right after, although it wasn't the correct answer, but I would have been willing to give it. The correct answer is actually D, Blue Fire. So let me explain the other ones. Jolly Rancher Remix does not actually have onboard audio on the trains. They are speakers, basically on the lift hills and other sections. Space Mountain at Tokyo Disneyland does not actually have onboard audio. The Disneyland one had some problems because the trains got too heavy, so they never put it on Tokyo Disneyland's. Fire Chaser Express has like audio in a scene, but it's not on board. And then Blue Fire actually does have onboard audio. It does have station music, but it does have onboard audio on the ride. It does have actual speakers on it. I have heard that it may have been broken, so that may have been a little confusing. I've heard for some it may have been broken, so I guess that may have been a difficult one to ask, but it does have, like I said, actual onboard audio built into the trains. So, although for a lot of non-Disney coasters, or a decent amount of them, sometimes the onboard audio doesn't work, so kind of a tricky question anyways. So that being said, Frontier Coasters did get it, putting him at 3 points. 808 Coaster Life. Oh wait, sorry, my bad. No, never mind. I believe Frontier Coasters was actually the only one who got it. Oh wait, Charged on PC also did because it's just in the actual name. So there are the points there. So yep. Yeah, I saw that. I almost missed it, but there you go. So there is the correct answer. So next we'll move on to our next question, and I'm starting a timer. Which of these roller coasters has never been relocated? Which of these has never been relocated is the question. So there you go. And I guess I should have mentioned, I think this one's a pretty hard quiz as far as my standards go. We'll see. Obviously, there has been already one really tricky question, so we'll see how this goes. Alrighty, most people are going for one answer. We'll see if that pays off or not. Already off the bat, there's definitely a trend in the answers for sure. But will this be a case of what we saw with the first question, where everyone got it right, or most, in this case, most people got it right, or will almost everybody get it wrong? We'll see where this goes. And that is the timer, and that will end it. So the correct answer is Dragon at Laron. That is the only one of these that has never been relocated. It is an Intamin indoor coaster. And yes, a coaster at Laron that actually is original to the park. So there you go. And then a lot of people got that one right. So Charged on PC gets another point, as does Frontier Coasters, along with Inverting Thrills. James Miner gets another point. 808 Coaster Life also gets another point, and Stamford Bridge also gets another point. So there you go. Hello, Civilian Satellite. He is currently in Guadalajara, I'm pretty sure. So happy to see you here. I've been binging your So Many Parks, So Little Time series. I kind of got to that late. I think I mentioned it to you when I was looking at specific parks, but I've actually been binging it. Pretty good series. Would recommend you guys check it out. Check out Civilian Satellite. I believe he's at 900 subscribers. So getting close to 1,000 there. Make sure to get him there. But wanted to mention that. So hello there. Alrighty, so I think I have all the points, and so we'll move on to our next question, which is, what park was Frontier City's Wildcat originally from? So kind of works off the last answer, so there you go. And the timer has, of course, started. Yeah, no, Civilian Satellite has a great channel. Also, if you like travel vlogs, I've only watched a few of them, but I do like to travel to places that are not parks. He also has some great stuff there as well, so wanted to mention that. And also, I knew that Vince had a channel. It took me a while to get there, but he's got some good stuff for sure. Wanted to make sure to mention that. Alrighty, so we are getting close here to the end of the quiz. So or not the quiz, the question. I'm almost halfway done with the quiz. So that is pretty much it. That is the timer. And so that will end it. And so the correct answer to this question is Fairyland Park, which only a few people got from what I saw. So Frontier Coasters once again got it. Absolutely rolling through this. Charged on PC, also very respectively, getting his 4th point. James Miner also got it. So now up to 3. Marty got it. So also up to 3. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, Paragon Park is the original park that had Wild One. Boardwalk and Baseball has what now is Arkansas Twister. And Cedar Point I literally just threw in there just because. And there is a car outside. Nice. Alright, so there you go. Now let's move on to the next one. So this one's a personal one. What is my number 1 steel roller coaster? My number 1 ranked steel roller coaster. Which one of these is it? That is the next question. Timer has, of course, started, but answer away. I think all these answers would be understandable to an extent. There's one, though, that if anyone answers it, I will be a little disappointed, but we'll see if anyone gets there. I'm not going to say anything before it happens. Yeah, what is my number 1 steel roller coaster? Getting close to the end for this question here. And it will wrap up now. So that is the end. That is the timer. I will put that in here. The correct answer is Steel Vengeance. Yeah, so Steel Vengeance is still my number 1 steel coaster. Not my number 1 overall, but number 1 steel. So that is the correct answer there. I'm actually surprised no one picked Lightning Rod. I guess I thought people might think it was. But good on you for not picking that. X2 was a pretty understandable answer, though. Yeah, I said it was my favorite coaster in California, and I have now placed it above Lightning Rod following some re-rides, so there you go. So Charged on PC gets his 5th point. Frontier Coasters with 6. James Miner with 4. And 808 Coaster Life with 3. So there you go. Lightning Rod is actually really good at night. That is that is definitely what is elevating its placing at night. I mean, I didn't quite get a full night ride, but it was like pretty close. So it was pretty fantastic when I was there back in, I believe it was early August of 2022. It was running pretty well in my experience, though. That was the only time I'd ever ridden it. So, and I got 11 rides on it. So definitely got quite a bit on it, fortunately. Alrighty, next we'll move on to our next question, which is a true or false question. Premier Rides has manufactured 0 new non-launch coasters since 2010. True or false? Premier Rides has manufactured 0 new non-launch coasters since 2010. Specifically, non-launch. The answers are still coming in, although it's taken some time, it looks like. Alright, we have a little bit of difference in the answers. We'll see what ends up being correct. And this will wrap up in about 5 seconds for me. And that will pretty much do it. So that'll end it there. The correct answer is true. They have built 0 new non-launch coasters since 2010. All their coasters they have manufactured have featured a launch. So anyone who answered that is correct. So Charged on PC will tie it up here with 6. Marty gets another point, which is now 4 points. James is going up to 5 points. And as is 808 Coaster Life. Well, actually 4 points for 808 Coaster Life. So there you go. All right, next question. Identify the pictured roller coaster, and the timer has begun. Identify the pictured roller coaster. That is the question. Pretty simple, or is it? Guess we'll find out. Already some differences in answers. Alrighty. The funny thing is, yes, this, if you know what park it's at, you can kind of see the little logo. I don't know if it might not be visible, but that might help. You'll see. So, alrighty. So that is pretty much going to wrap it up there. So I'm going to put end. And the correct answer is B, Racing Coaster at Trans Studio Bandung. I may have horribly mispronounced that, but that is my best attempt at it. So the correct answer is B. For those who picked Crazy Cobra, it's actually a respectable answer. Crazy Cobra was a premiere launch spaghetti bowl coaster. The other two were pretty random, so I guess it was between those two answers, which is actually pretty good. So Frontier Coasters got it, putting themselves back in the lead. Jace got it, which will get him the 5 points. James got it. That'll be 6 points. And looks like that's it. Alrighty, so it was split pretty close between Crazy Cobra and Racing Coaster. So there you go. All right, now we'll go into our next question. Which of these roller coasters is fastest? And the timer has begun. Let's see. So already getting some answers in here pretty quickly, actually. So people feel pretty confident about what they have, it looks like. And obviously, it's not the coaster in the picture, should be noted. I mean, that's not even an option here. I think I just keep Formula Rosa in there just because it's the fastest roller coaster for these type of questions. So I'm just like, why change it? It's not giving away anything. So there you go. Alrighty, and so this question is going to wrap up here pretty quickly. And that will pretty much end it. So the correct answer is Furious Baco at Port Aventura. It tops out at a top speed of 83.9 miles per hour, making it the fastest of the bunch. Just barely over Accelerator, actually. So that is the correct answer. And let's see. So Charged on PC got it correct, as did Frontier Coasters, maintaining the lead. Stamford Bridge got it. And yep, I think that's pretty much everybody. So there you go. Alrighty, so we'll move on to our next question, which is, what country does not have a coaster named Goliath? Honestly, probably one of the easier questions on here. So, which country listed does not have a coaster named Goliath? Like I said, should be relatively easy, but we'll see. Over halfway done, at least on my end. So let's see, a lot of people going with the same answer. Once again, we'll see if that one pays off or not. And the timer is running out. And that will officially end it. All right, so the correct answer is indeed D, Belgium. So, of course, the USA has multiple Goliaths. You have Goliath at Wallaby Holland for the Netherlands. You have Goliath at La Ronde for Canada. And Belgium does not have a Goliath. So, there you go. So, let's see. A lot of people got that right. Charged on PC has 8 points now with a tie for the lead. Marty has 5 now. 808 Coaster Life has 6 points. Stamford Bridge has 5. And James has 7. So in competition for the lead. So that is quite good. Alrighty. So there you go. Alright. Let's see. Next question. Which of these coasters has never placed in the Golden Ticket Awards Top 50 Steel Coasters? Which of these coasters has never placed in the Golden Ticket Awards Top 50 Steel Coasters? That is the question. So, here you go. So, and the timer has already begun. And actually, shout out, I actually made a Sporkle quiz recently, just finished it up. It was mostly made before I took a break and I just kind of finished it up. But if you want to go on Sporkle, I do have a new quiz for the Golden Ticket Awards, every coaster that has ever placed in the top 50, which was a really difficult thing to make, but it is out there if you want to take it. I'm hoping that Airtime Thrills will take it for a series, but we'll see if that happens. It is quite the massive quiz. But there you go. Alrighty, so we already have some answers coming in here. And alright, that will end it. And Stamford Bridge just gets it in the nick of time. So there you go. Alrighty, so the correct answer, which will surprise a lot of you, is actually C, Joker at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. So Crazy Mouse, you might be like, what is this? Like, you maybe have never heard of this coaster. Believe it or not, it did actually make the first ever Golden Ticket Awards, which is just crazy. It actually did. You can look back at it. It was back when they only had a top 25, but it was number 25. Why it was there, I have no idea, but it is in there, so you can look at that. Jetline, I saw 808 Coaster Life answered that. That one has made it actually a few times, believe it or not. And then Lightning Rod I put in just because some people might think, oh, well, it's steel. It just recently became steel, so maybe it never made it, or maybe it was categorized as wood, but no, Lightning Rod has made it. Joker at Discovery Kingdom is the only one of these that has not made it. Pretty surprising. Stamford Bridge got it right in the nick of time, and was the only one to get it correct. So congratulations there. Alrighty, so then we'll move on to our next question. We're going to 15 in total, and that is true or false. Wild Mouse at Luna Park Sydney is the only operating wooden Wild Mouse coaster in the world, and the timer has begun. I think the reason I don't think Crazy Mouse was the first spinning wild mouse. I believe the reason was it actually went defunct at the first park, and I think that it was that, and I think people voted it in because of that. I don't think they knew it was getting relocated. I believe that was the reason, because it got voted in when it was at Dinosaur Beach. So I think that may have been the reason. Maybe you're right, but I highly doubt it. That's the reason why. I think it went defunct is the reason. Because sometimes that like kind of happens. Like I think Colossus got voted in the last year it was allowed to. So just because people wanted to put it in. Alright, and as for this one, the timer has wrapped up. So that is pretty much going to end it there. The correct answer for this one is false. There are actually 2 wooden wild mice in Indonesia, out of all places, that are still currently operating. So that, and you can see here, this is one of them. So there are a few other still operating wooden wild mice. And it looks like mostly everyone got this right. So Charged on PC will now have 9 points, as will Frontier Coasters. And along with Marty has 6 points. Stamford Bridge has 7. And 808 Coaster Life also has 7. So there you go. Wild Mouse at Luna Park isn't operating anymore. Well, like, yes, it's kind of being repaired right now, but like, come on. I mean, it's not defunct. So there we go. Alrighty, so next we have our second to last question relating to Scream at Six Flags Magic Mountain. How many inversions does it have? And the timer has already started. So we'll see what you guys end up answering here. Well, the answers are consistent, so it'll just be a matter of if everyone is right or not. But everyone has answered the same. We'll see if that one pays off. 5 too many. Yeah, well. And that'll actually pretty much wrap it up there. So that is going to end it. And the correct answer is indeed 7. You're pretty much right on that. So everyone who answered there will get a point. Unfortunately, none of the inversions are particularly good, but it does have 7 of them. Roland also officially on the board. Welcome to the stream. And so, let's see. Yep, I think I counted them up. So, alright, I just did it right now, so there you go. Alrighty, so next we have our final question. The one that could very well decide the winner. But we'll see. Here we go. Question 15. Which of these roller coasters operated while Eagle Fortress, or Eagle's Fortress as called by some, at Everland was still open? Which of these coasters operated while Eagle's Fortress at Everland was still operating? One of these was open while Eagle's Fortress operated. The other 3 came after Eagle's Fortress closed. So let's see which it is. And by the way, also rip Eagle's Fortress. I mean, obviously it's been gone for a while, but looked like a fantastic coaster for sure. but obviously not around anymore, unfortunately. Would have loved to ride it, but I mean, it's pretty far for me to get to and for probably a lot of you to get to. So, um, obviously not the easiest thing in the world. All right, so that'll pretty much time it out. That will end it. And the correct answer here is actually Behemoth at Canada's Wonderland, which means that Frontier Coasters, who was the only one who got it right, is the champion of this roller coaster quiz. Frontier Coasters got 11 points. Charged on PC got 10 points for second place. And then tied for third place here was Stanford Bridge and 808 Coaster Life with 8 points, which actually for 808 Coaster Life, getting 8 points is about on brand. So there you go. That is the quiz. Good job to everybody. Let me know if that quiz was too hard or if it was just about right. And that's pretty much the quiz. So there you go. Yep, GG's in the chat. GG's all around. I mean, I know for sure there's some of these that I would not have known had I not looked into them. So it was a good difficulty. Touche. Yep. It was very good. That's good. I think it was pretty good. I mean, 11 out of 15 being the best. Maybe there's some that were a little too hard, but I think the thing is, I think most of them, at least one person got it right. I think the Australia question, the second question might have been a little too evil. I think the rest were okay. I think that one was just a little too much. And of course, the last question I'm going to make pretty difficult. And so, yeah, I think that one is fine, the Eagles Fortress one. So, there you go. Oh, maybe some people, I know a lot of people answered Prowler, so they probably got it mixed up with Renegade. Yeah, that would, as Marty is saying, that would make sense, for sure. Love the Australia question. You can look it up on RCDB if you don't believe me. I mean, Australia, it's not even close to the other countries. It is well behind, and that's taking out upcoming projects also that haven't technically opened yet. So not like that would have mattered any which way, but yeah. National Coasters helped a lot for this one. Yeah, I can imagine. That'd be a super helpful channel for this quiz for sure. So I guess if you want to do good on these quizzes, that's definitely a channel to watch, and one I can recommend for sure. National Coasters. We should all go to Michigan's Adventure. I'd love to go. Shivering Timbers is one of my top bucket list coasters, so I'd be down if it just were in an area that was a little more accessible. But I hope to do it at some point. So yeah. Alrighty, so that's the quiz, which will lead us into the next segment, which is going to be one thing I'm doing, and it's going to be another countdown. So obviously I'm taking this trip relatively soon here, well within the next week, really within the next few days, which is going to be my trip to Hollywood Nights. I'm also hoping to do Kentucky Rumbler at Beach Bend, along with the coasters at Kentucky Kingdom. But even with this, still it kind of felt like a good time to do this. I'm going to be doing a countdown of the top 10 wooden coasters I've ridden, kind of explaining them and why they rank in the places that they do. So with that being said, I'm going to pull it up, and you guys can give your opinions on the wooden coasters. Of course, we all have different opinions, so definitely let me know what you guys think of my top 10 wooden coasters. I'm sure not everyone's going to agree with it, so you can let me know that in the chat right now. But yeah, so oh wait, this is not the right countdown. This is the wrong one. My bad, guys. This is I pulled up the wrong one. So I'll get the actual one that I'm supposed to be doing. And we'll get that in. Yeah, Kentucky Rumbler is getting some has received some Titan track. It was supposed to reopen today, but I have not heard anything that that indicates that it actually reopened, which really concerns me. Like, I'm going really soon. I'm hoping it's open. Of course, I'll call before and I'll do what I need to do to make sure it is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it if it is actually open. That'll be my first Titan Track experience too. So yeah. But anyways, so top 10 wooden coasters. I've currently only ridden 22 wooden coasters. I'll actually show here the ones that did not make it. If they have an asterisk by the name, it means that the wooden coaster is defunct. But here are the wooden coasters that did not make the list. These are all the wooden coasters I have ridden. Only notable one here that I can think to kind of mention or talk about is Colossus. Some people are like, why is that so low? I only rode it once backwards in the horrible trains, so wanted to mention that's why it ranks so low. I wish I had ridden it forwards, and I wish I could have ridden it closer to its prime, but I rode it to the last year. I rode it in its last year of operation, unfortunately. Yeah, Grizzly did not make it. I know, huge shocker. Yeah, I know that one's definitely gonna ruffle some feathers for sure. But I'm sorry, I can't really vibe with that ride. I don't really think there's any other way to put it. So unfortunately, Grizzly will not be making the list, but that is what this list comes down to. Those are the coasters that didn't quite make it. And with that being said, we'll go into my top 10. And as much as it pains me, because I have kind of ranted on this coaster before, saying it's just getting a little overrated. I still like it. It's a fun wooden coaster, but I think some of the hype for it has gotten a little too far. But it did make my top 10 based off recent rides. And Jace can certainly vouch for this. This is Apocalypse, the ride at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Yes, it has made the top 10. Now, some of the things I like about this ride, for one, the queue theming, especially for Six Flags standards, is excellent. Of the coasters on here, it probably has the best queue. You maybe could argue Mystic Timbers, but I would say this is probably better. So, in terms of theming for the queue, this one's pretty good. Of course, this has Millennium Flyer trains, so those are very comfortable. And even though the ride is a little shaky, a little bumpy, even a bit rough, it's to a point that's like it feels right for a wooden coaster, and especially with the Millennium Flyer trains, it just works. So I will say that. And some of the good things about this ride for the actual ride experience, the first drop on Apocalypse, especially compared to a lot of other GCIs and wooden coasters, it has a really good first drop because you have all the momentum going into it, and it's relatively straight, so it has a great first drop. And the first half, I really like for this coaster. It's quite aggressive, has some good airtime pops, and of course you have the station flyby. But pretty much after the station flyby, I think the ride kind of dies. You have this one like sort of turnaround that's really intense if the ride's running well, but if it isn't, it kind of crawls through it and it isn't as intense. And then the ride just kind of always dies toward the end, so those are some things I don't like. But like I said, first half is really good. And the intense turnaround has some great laterals on it when the ride's running well. However, there are some issues with the ride. I mean, obviously this can be with any wooden coaster, but for Apocalypse, it's especially noteworthy. This coaster can really crawl through the second half of the layout if it is not warm enough, and the pacing kind of suffers. Regardless of any condition, though, it will kind of end on a whimper because the final brake run is pretty high up, so it does lose a lot of momentum heading into it, so it doesn't really end off on the best note. And honestly, there isn't really much in the layout, and there isn't really a specific element, even though the first drop's pretty good, that really stands out for this ride. It just kind of blends in with the other GCI wooden coasters, in my opinion. So it's not like the craziest ride in the world, but it is pretty fun for what it is. and I've come to appreciate it a little more in my recent visits. I still don't think this is like the best wooden coaster in California or anything, because I've seen that out there. I just cannot agree with that one. But it's a fun GCI coaster, and especially when it's running well. So that's what I'm gonna say there. For number 9, this one's probably gonna get me killed a little bit. This is Thunderhead at Dollywood. And so even though it's only one spot ahead of Apocalypse, I will say that in my overall rankings, it's like a lot higher. So even though it's like, oh, that's not much of a gap, it really is actually quite a bit ahead of Apocalypse for me. And some of the good things for this ride, it has a nice setting in the trees. Now, some of the trees have kind of been cut down, but it still had a pretty nice setting with the surrounding trees. As with Apocalypse, Millennium Flyer trains, and this coaster I found to be relatively smooth. I know it's gotten even better this season with the track work that's happened, but even during my visit, I thought it was quite smooth for a wooden coaster. There's a lot of airtime pops scattered throughout the layout, some in places that you wouldn't expect. So I think that's where the ride really shines, is it just has a ton of airtime moments. And like I said, in a lot of places where you wouldn't expect. And this is actually one of the few coasters that I've ridden that I would say I probably prefer in the front row, because I think the airtime pops are best there. Of course, this coaster also has a station flyby that's always sweet. And I don't know if I mentioned that for Apocalypse, but that's obviously a good moment for it as well. And this ride has really good pacing throughout. Now, some things that I think are kind of going against it. I didn't really find this ride to be super intense or crazy. I've heard reviews that say it is pretty wild. I didn't really see it. The airtime pops I didn't think were like super strong, even by GCI standards, but it does have quite a bit of it. And then just another note I have in here is that I don't think I got like the best possible rides on this coaster. The day I went, it was a little overcast. It was warm, but it was overcast. And I kind of rode this ride. The 2 rides I got were like midday. So had I ridden it later, my opinion might have changed a little bit for the better. And especially if I had ridden it at night, I know this coaster would definitely, I don't know if it'd be higher on this list, but it definitely would be higher in my overall rankings. So I wanted to mention that. But even still, it's a great wooden coaster. I've heard this year it's just running like crazy. I don't have plans to get out there this year, so I can't really do that, but that is great to hear. It definitely is a unique wooden coaster, even compared to what I've ridden, just because, like I said, it just has a ton of airtime pops. So I really enjoyed it for that reason. Alrighty, next we have our next one, which is Giant Dipper at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I'm a big fan of this coaster. And I mean, just to start off, the scenery, the setting of this coaster is fantastic. You're on the boardwalk, you're by the ocean, especially toward the evening at night when the lights are on and everything. It's such a good vibe. The station is great. It pays homage to the history of the coaster. And like the overall ride just very much keeps that classic aesthetic, which is awesome. This coaster is amazingly well maintained and cared for. Pretty smooth for its age as well, especially actually really smooth for its age. It of course has some bumpy moments, but that's what you would expect for a wooden coaster that's almost 100 years old. And I do like the restraints on it. I think they're pretty good for airtime. So, which this coaster does have a decent amount of moments of. I won't spoil it, but the beginning of the ride is really unique. Like before you go up the lift hill, at least in my experience, definitely adds some character to the coaster. And then the ride is just filled with quite a few good to great airtime moments and some incredibly strong lateral moments. It's just a fantastic classic wooden coaster. I think as far as like classic wooden coasters go, I don't really have much to complain about for it. I mean, I could like say maybe the pacing's not the best, or maybe it's like not the most diverse coaster in terms of elements, but this is a ride that's almost 100 years old, so I can't really make those like real knocks. But basically what I'll leave this out on is this coaster is fantastic in my opinion. My favorite classic wooden coaster I've done, like I think like true classic, like pre-50s. And it's definitely worth checking out for sure if you're in the NorCal area. Obviously a little out of the way to get to, but I do think that it is fantastic. So, and fortunately this last year, a lot of other people got to ride it, and they also agreed. And I've even seen some like crazy high rankings for it. I always thought I kind of ranked it like higher than most, but I mean, I think it was in Canopy Coaster's like top 50 overall, which is like crazy. But it's definitely well warranted. So, fantastic classic wooden coaster. Next, I have Gold Striker at California's Great America. This coaster, when it's running at its best, I mean, it is a phenomenal ride. Some of the best pacing you'll find on any wooden coaster. Everything's just super rapid fire. And it's also really intense, really out of control feeling. And of course, with the other like the other GCIs, it has some lame flyer trains. It has the tunnel drop as well, which the drop itself is actually really nice, but it's made even better with the tunnel. It just makes it super unique, being enclosed in a tunnel, and you can't, especially like if you're in the back or just anywhere, you can't really see all the way. So that's also pretty cool. And it's just a great mixture of airtime and laterals. Like I said, super rapid fire, and out of control. The only thing I will say it is that against it is the airtime isn't like super strong, but I mean, it's not something I would expect from this coaster. And then the last time I rode it, it was rough enough to a degree that it actually took away from the ride experience. And it definitely was not running the full potential. I rode this coaster in 2019, which was one of the last years it was running before it got like the heavy retrack and rework. And since I've heard it's been running much better. But those are just some things I have to mention there. I'm pretty sure if I rode it, it would definitely rise, because my 2013 rides on it when I was first becoming a coaster enthusiast, those were pretty legendary. So if it rides like that, it has a chance to potentially rise on this list, but it does have some pretty stiff competition ahead of it, as we'll go into at 6, which is Legend at Holiday World. Now, this and Raven, which is, spoiler, coming next, but I do have Raven ranked one spot higher. This will be interesting to see if they rise after Hollywood Nights. I mean, these coasters were already fantastic, but I imagine at night they're going to be even better, and I could see them potentially rising. But we'll kind of see what happens. And maybe my opinion will change between Legend and Raven, because I have them like right next to each other. They're like really close. But Legend is really good. Setting is great. You go through the trees. You even go past and under water slides, which is actually really cool. I mean, you can't really say that about any other wooden coaster I've ridden. The pacing is really good. I guess underwater slides, anyways, I should say for there. The pacing is great. This ride is the king of laterals. If you are if you love laterals, this ride is the king. But it does have some good airtime as well. The double helix, gotta mention it. Absolutely legendary element. One of the best elements you'll find on any wooden coaster. It is just non-stop laterals, sustained laterals for several seconds. It is insane. Another ride that feels quite out of control, and it also feels like a pretty long ride too. So definitely a lot going for Legend. Really the only thing I have against it is, I guess, I do like myself some airtime, so maybe a few more moments, but that's being like really nitpicky. That the ride's focused on laterals, so I'd much rather it keep the laterals than add in like a few more hills if it were to get rid of some of the moments. So like I said, very nitpicky there. So Legend, pretty fantastic. I'm really excited to get back on it. And same with Raven. This also has a really good setting. You go through the trees, and on that first turnaround, you go right by the lake too, which is awesome. This is a coaster that the one thing I will say is this one definitely needs to warm up. My morning versus my later in the day ride, there was like a massive difference. So this ride does have really good pacing when warmed up, and that sort of low to the ground section following the legendary fifth drop has some great laterals and speed, and you really feel that once the coaster is warmed up. But it also has several amazing drops that deliver fantastic airtime, and you can't really see how big they are. You can't really see them coming, so they're larger than you can anticipate, which is fantastic, and it's really strong airtime for a wooden coaster as well. Of course, I mentioned the fifth drop. That is an insane element, one of the best on any wooden coasters. And like I said, the low to the ground portion, great laterals and speed when warmed up. Some cons with the coaster. This one in particular, especially feels short, so I'll mention that. And it definitely needs some time to warm up for you to get the ultimate Raven experience. You could say that with a lot of wooden coasters, but I think this one is like especially apparent. So wanted to mention that. The next coaster I have is Mystic Timbers, which I'll just say before going on this coaster, I thought this ride would be good. I didn't think it would be as good as it ended up being. But Mystic Timbers, another ride, excellent setting in the woods. I have ridden this one at night, phenomenal night rides. It's a very re-rideable coaster. It's quite smooth, one of the smoothest wooden coasters, probably, if not the smoothest wooden coaster I've done, really. It also has some solid queue theming, and obviously you also have the soundtrack in the station, and then you also, of course, have the shed at the end. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but it's kind of a fun thing to have, just see what you get at the end, so I won't go more into that, but it's nothing insane, but it's pretty fun. Obviously, another coaster that has Millennium Flyer trains, so that's always great. I did find the first drop on Mystic to be better than a good chunk of the other GCIs that I've done, so I will note that. It had a pretty nice first drop. This ride is also just an airtime buffet. I mean, it has airtime pretty much everywhere, just a ton of it, and this is another one of those GCIs that is like super rapid pacing, and the elements make it feel out of control because they just come so fast. The only thing is this ride isn't like super like intense or like lateral or positive G heavy, so that's like the only sort of con, I guess. But this ride is focused on the airtime, so that's not an issue for me. This coaster is fantastic and especially worth getting a night ride on. So, wanted to mention that. I mean, yeah, I know they shouldn't have hyped up the shed, but I mean, I wrote it many years after it had been hyped up, so I could not possibly be disappointed by it. So I guess I'll say my experience there is a little different for that reason. But yeah, that is Mystic Timbers. Next, we have Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. Before 2022, this would have been my number one wooden coaster by like a mile. Another coaster with an elite night ride. Definitely trying to make sure to do this at night if possible. It also has Millennium Flyer trains, which is also, I mean, great. This coaster is still quite smooth. I mean, it's still one of the smoother wooden coasters out there, even years after the retrack, so that is obviously something that's nice. And the setting of the ride, I mean, it does take place in a parking lot, but especially at night, you kind of can see like some lights around, like when you're high up, kind of look out into the city. But the structure actually makes for a really nice sort of setting because you have a lot of head choppers and you really go through it, especially in the second half of the ride. Makes for some good scenery. And this ride just has a really good mix of laterals and airtime. If you want really strong airtime, you got it. If you want really insane laterals, you got it. So that is, of course, something that's makes Ghost Rider stand out, is it really has an amazing combination of both. And the airtime on it, I would say, is stronger compared to other wooden coasters for sure that I've done. And it has some elite moments. The mid-course drop is utterly fantastic. And then the ending helix is just an amazing way to sort of end the ride. And this is another one of those coasters with a really long ride duration, or a pretty long ride duration. So that's a lot of things going for Ghost Rider. The only sort of negative is the first half is a little lacking compared to the second half, in my opinion. but it's still a great overall ride, and there's still some great moments in the first half. It's just I think the second half really steals the show for Ghost Rider. So there you go. My number 2 is going to be Beast, specifically at night. I think I have on the thing that if you were going off of day rides, which I did do, and also I should mention this is also based off after the Gravity Group retrack. I did not ride it before, so I have no idea where it would have been had I done it before, if it would be higher or lower. But it would be ranked probably at like, I think I have 8 there during the day. And actually, I think I got that incorrect. I think it'd actually be 9, because I think I'd rank Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, Giant Dipper over it if we were going to, based off Beast day rides. It's like pretty much the craziest ride in terms of like the difference between a day ride and a night ride. I mean, it makes like a huge spot difference, more so than any other coaster I've ridden by far. But with that being said, obviously this is based off the night ride. When you're getting it at night, the setting, just being tucked into the woods deep, a lot of moments are pitch black or close to it, especially also you have the tunnels and the atmosphere. I mean, everyone knows it's the Beast night rides. You also have the wind in your face and everything. It's just like such an amazing setting and atmosphere. I think the best setting and atmosphere of any coaster ever when you get it at night. And then this coaster is also very rideable, in my opinion. Now with the new retrack, it's quite smooth. And the ride, of course, is incredibly long. And in a lot of areas, you have an incredible sense of speed, especially at night. Amazing terrain usage, of course. You have the epic double helix, which is the highlight moment of the ride. And at night, it does feel insane and out of control, just because you can like hardly see anything. And everyone just knows it's a crazy good time. So I was a huge fan of this coaster when I thought that maybe I wasn't going to be. It was honestly like one of the surprise. It may have been the biggest surprise coaster ever for me, because I honestly, when I was going into Beast, I wasn't even sure I was even going to like the coaster, to be honest. And it ended up being absolutely spectacular. Now, some things that are going against it. I mean, I would say it's not a ride you ride for like the individual elements or just for like a dynamic ride. You're not really going to get that here. So there's not really a ton of like true elements or airtime moments. There's a few, but there's not that many airtime moments. So it's not a super dynamic coaster. And like I said, there's a massive difference between day and night rides. But if you ride it at night, none of that matters. This coaster is absolutely fantastic. It is an experience. I think that's the best way to describe it. As Canada Coaster fan, I think, was he the one who mentioned that it was an experience? Someone did. And so I think that's pretty much the best way to describe it. But with that being said, we'll head to number 1. And this coaster I'm just super excited to re-ride. It is Voyage at Holiday World. This is my number 1 overall coaster. I have not even ridden it at night during Hollywood Nights. This is based off a ride on a hot July day. So that just speaks volumes to how good this coaster is. Another coaster has a great setting, goes through the woods, has tunnels. You even get to go under Thunderbird at a certain point, which is pretty nice. And then you also, of course, have a super long ride. So that is, a really good thing for Voyage. But this ride, it has some incredible terrain usage. Just going through, especially the second half of this ride, the terrain usage, it's utterly insane. A masterclass of engineering and layout design. And the pacing is excellent, even with the mid-course brake run. Like, yes, it slows it down for like a few seconds, and then you get like right back up to speed as if like nothing ever happened. So I'd say the pacing is certainly elite for a ride of its size. There's also a lot of great variety. Obviously, at the start, you have the big airtime hills that deliver sustained airtime. It's not quite as strong as like the lower elements or the low to the ground hills, but they're still pretty. You can still definitely feel the airtime on it, and it's quite sustained. And then, of course, in the second half, you have the low to the ground twisted hills and just low to the ground elements, which are a lot stronger and, in my opinion, crazier. So it's just a great variety in terms of an entire ride experience. Obviously, this thing's an airtime monster. You get a ton of airtime. You get a lot of variety of airtime. Like I said, you kind of have those big hills that are like kind of sustained, sort of floaterish airtime. And then you get some more intense, like borderline ejector airtime with some of the lower, smaller hills in the second half. And especially those twisted hills or S hills. Those are really incredible for me. So those are my favorite specific hills. But even with that, you still get quite a bit of laterals, and the ride is overall extremely intense and out of control and pretty much relentless from start to finish. So, I mean, for all those reasons, this is my number one coaster. It's obviously my number one favorite wooden coaster, and I can't wait to ride it at night. I got sunset rides on it, but not quite night rides. I just can't wait for that, and I can't wait to ride it without the trim. It's going to be utterly fantastic. So that is my ranking. That is my countdown. I saw that there was a lot of people reacting as we were going, so I might kind of look at that real quick to go through your guys' opinions. But that is it. That is the countdown. I'll kind of go through some of the things you guys said, and then we'll head into our next segment, which will be guess the coaster. So let's take a look here. Alrighty, let's see. Is Little Dipper on here? No, definitely not. I like Little Dipper from where? Like Great America? I haven't even ridden that. No way. Let's see. I like my GCIs to have airtime. Apocalypse has a few airtime moments. It has some airtime, but it's not that crazy. But so I can understand that. Thunderhead definitely would be more up your alley, so that would make sense. To be fair, Thunderhead is currently my number 4 in the park. So, not because it's bad, just because I like the top 3. That's just how much I like the top 3, which for me is Lightning Rod 1, Tennessee Tornado 2, and then Mystery Mine 3. Although after rewrites, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Thunderhead would go ahead of Mystery Mine, especially if I got to ride Thunderhead in better conditions. But I can totally see where you're coming from there with that. Yeah, oh, and you didn't get a full train. That also would not help for sure. Yeah, Woodies are the best. I'm definitely a wood coaster over steel coaster. When the wooden coasters are done at an elite level, I would say I prefer Woodies to steel coasters. For sure. Oh, yeah, the Giant Dipper at Santa Cruz, not at San Diego, not Belmont Park. I have not ridden that one. I don't have high expectations for it. Gold Striker is your favorite GCI. Yeah, I don't think, even if it was running in like peak form when I last rode, I don't think it would be above Mystic for me, but I still think it's an excellent GCI, and it's definitely going to be one of the best ones I've done probably for a while. Obviously not the best, but I imagine it'll stay top 3 for a while. Let's see. True, not strong airtime, just a wild ride like Troy. Yeah, I've heard Troy is definitely one I want to check out too. Yep, for sure. Yep, going to Hollywood Nights. Very excited to do that for the first time. Yeah, the drops on Legend are quite good. Yeah, it has some surprising airtime moments too. I was impressed with that. I mean, some people might be like, I put Legend low. I didn't think Raven and Legend were gonna be like above Gold Striker for me. So they both really impressed for sure. And I mean, and they're gonna have a chance to do it again. So that's for sure. The shed is a terrifying experience. 808 Coaster Life number 3 overall in Ghost Rider. Yep, there you go. And yep, I know the Beast is like, I know, especially among young enthusiasts, the Beast isn't exactly a popular coaster, But man, I can totally get behind it. I'm one of those people who I will defend it. Um, yeah. Oh, the sound's going in and out. That's not good. Hopefully, that what happened earlier. Hopefully, if that happens again, I'll try to make sure it's okay. Yeah, the Wi-Fi has been a little spotty. I'm happy that most of the stream has been fine, but yeah, if that happens, I was a little concerned with that because I know the new Wi-Fi has been a little spotty, but hopefully it hasn't been too bad. Or it isn't too bad now. Okay, it's good now. That's good. And I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop going through the comments there. Yeah, civilian satellite. I saw on Instagram, Sullivan Magica, all the coasters were closed. Yeah, pretty brutal. The worst part for me is I've actually been to Guadalajara, and I've actually visited the sites that I would visit on the same trip I do that park. So it would be like a just really massive risk for me to go there because I wouldn't really have a ton to do otherwise when I'm there. So I honestly don't know if that's a park that I'll ever get to, just because the risk is so massive when you go there that the like bullet isn't even gonna be open. I mean, Coaster Dash, credit to him, he got to visit at a time where it was open, but man, that is just not super common. So, yeah, audio is good now. All right, that is good. All right, with that being said, we're going to move on to our next segment. And I just realized I completely exited out of the document that has all the things. So I'm going to get back in there. And then we'll do Guess the Coaster. Alrighty, so let me get it. I still need to get the coaster, and then we'll start. Alrighty, I have my first coaster, Guess Away. Alrighty, the first coaster I have, so like I said, you can guess away. Is it a steel coaster? Yes, it is a steel coaster, but it is not blue. So far we have steel coaster. It is not in North America. So, no, we have a steel coaster that is outside of North America, and it is not blue. Let's see. North America, no. Already mentioned that. It is not wooden, but it is in Europe. So we have European steel coaster that is not blue. It is not in Asia. It is not Nessie. I mean, hey, up to this point, the description lined up, but it's not Nessie. It is not a B&M, and it does not have any inversions. It is not in Germany. It is not Fury, and it is not from Intamin. But it is a sit-down coaster. So we have steel sit-down coaster in Europe without inversions. It is not an Arrow, and it is not launched. It does not have a launch. And it is not over 200 feet tall. So, steel sit-down coaster in Europe without inversions. It is not Goliath. Yes, it would be considered along the lines of a family coaster. So yes, it is a family coaster. It's not Leesburg Bannon. It's not a Hyper. So far we have steel family coaster, steel sit-down family coaster in Europe. It is not at a Wallaby Park, and it is not from Mock Rides. However, it is from Vekoma, so yes, it is a Vekoma family sit-down steel coaster in Europe. It is not Lek coaster. It's not Gerstlauer. It is not powered. It is not in Scandinavia, and it is not a Wild Mouse of any sort, nor is it a coaster called Wild Mouse. It is not a family boomerang, but it is a mine train. So yes, it is a mine train. It's not Luna. It's not a Vekoma Junior coaster. It's not Light Explorers. But it is a Vekoma Mine Train coaster in Europe. Alrighty, so I think that'll probably make this relatively quick. So let's see who gets it first. Alrighty. It is not Calamity Mine. Oh, actually, Civilian Satellite got it. It is indeed Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at Disneyland Paris. So Civilian Satellite got it. So that'll be a point awarded there. And, yep, there we go. So that is the correct answer. So, yep, it is indeed Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I guess it's technically just called Big Thunder Mountain at Disneyland Paris. So that is the correct answer. Alrighty, so I'll get the... I'm not going to do that one. I kid you not. I mean, this ride's defunct. I literally just... yeah, I'm doing scoreboard now. I'm trying to do points now to make it a little more interesting. I randomly got Tornado at Selva Magica. That's... wow. We're not doing that one, but very interesting. Alright, I do have my next coaster. Andre, like the stream started, but we're still doing Guess the Coaster, so I wouldn't say you're late. But yeah, we are doing Guess the Coaster, and I just got my next coaster. So, guess it now. It's not whatever that ride is that Frontier Coasters mentioned. It is not from Mach, but it is a steel coaster, and it is in the US. So we have steel US coaster. It is not Nessie. So steel US coaster. That is not from Mach Rides. It is not red, and it is not a B&M. It's not on the West Coast, but I will give it to you. It is on the western side of the US. It's not on a state that touches the ocean. But it is in the western side of the US. It is not over 200 feet. It's not from Intamin. It is not a family coaster. It is not Gold Rusher, but it is a sit-down coaster. It is not Cannibal. It is not in Nevada. Ooh, wow, that was close. Wow. Okay, so on my screen, Stamford Bridge was the one who got it first. That might be controversial, but that's what showed up for me first, and that is Wicked. So Stamford Bridge officially on the board, but it was like literally like neck and neck between Stamford Bridge and Frontier Coasters for me. So that was quite tight. So there you go. All right, so then we'll do our third round. We're doing 8 overall. All right, we have our next coaster. So guess away. All right, so like I said, we have our next coaster. It is not Nefiskessen. It is not brown, but it is a steel coaster. And it is in North America. Oh, is the Spiral Airship, wait. Is that one of the coasters in North Korea? Is that why it is? But it's not in North Korea. It's a steel coaster in North America. It is not a family coaster. It's not called the Sniper. I don't believe there's a coaster with that name. It is not a B&M. It is in the USA. So, we do have a US steel coaster. It does not have animatronics as theming. It is in California. Oh wait, that coaster is, well, I'll just take it as that was your question, but yes, this coaster is in California. I don't think that you were meaning to ask that, but that works. So we have steel coaster in California. This coaster does not track-wise have 3 or more inversions. So, should mention that. Let's see. It is not Nessie. It is not X2. It is not operating. This is a defunct coaster. And it is not over 200 feet. And it is not a sit-down. And it is in SoCal. It is not Manta. It's not Accelerator. It is at a chain park. It's not Emperor. It's not X2. It's not Cyclone. It's not Shockwave. It's not Corkscrew. So let me reiterate. We have a steel coaster in California that is defunct. That is not a sit-down coaster. That track-wise does not have 3 or more inversions. It is not Deja Vu. It is not Z-Force. And Frontier Coasters got it. It is Green Lantern First Flight. Yes, believe it or not, I actually got it on RCDB. Yes, so it is Green Lantern First Flight. That's why I said track, because I guess technically it could have inverted more than 3 times, but yeah. So Frontier Coasters is on the board. Which I guess Frontier Coasters, you were the one who was back to back with Stamford Bridge, right? So I guess that kind of evens that out. So there we go. Yep, and Jace wrote its replacement, as did I. So, yep. Alrighty, so let's get our next coasters. That was the 3rd one. Oh wow, off the bat, I got our next coaster. Wow, immediately. Okay. Alrighty, so I do have our next coaster. This is not a steel coaster, so officially we do have a wooden coaster for this next one. So this coaster is wooden, it is not Millennium Force, and it is in the US, so we do have a US wooden coaster. It's not in Malaysia, but Malaysia doesn't even have any wooden coasters as far as I'm aware. It is not the Voyage. I know that'd be fantastic if it was. It is not Grizzly at King's Dominion. It is not on the West Coast, and it is not on the west side of the US. It is not Prowler, and it is not from GCI. And it is not a CCI either. It is not the Beast. It is not Renegade. It's not Wildcat. This is a Gravity Group. So yes, this is a Gravity Group wooden coaster. Let's see. So yes, like I said, Gravity Group wooden coaster. And then let's see what else. It is not a PTC. It was not built before 1990. It was not a PTC coaster. It's not Jackrabbit at Kennywood. It's not Mindblower. It's not RMC. It's not Wild One. It's not in Pennsylvania. It's not Comet. It's not Voyage. It's not Ravine Flyer 2. It's not Hades 360. It is not Rorosaurus. It's not Dino Coaster at Sesame Place. What? I don't even know. It is a family wooden coaster. It is not Wooden Warrior. It's not Kentucky Flyer. I did say it's a family Woody, right? It is a family Woody. It's not Boardwalk Bullet. It's not Oscar's Wacky Taxi. It's not Ravine Flyer 2. It's not Shadow Stalker. Shout out to Built to Thrill. That's a really cool looking backyard wooden coaster. Make sure to check that out if you haven't already. But yes, Frontier Coasters got it. The correct answer is Coastersaurus. Interestingly enough, it does not credit Gravity Group on RCDB. I mean, usually it does go with Martin and Fleming's, but it doesn't even credit Gravity Group as the designer for it. But I'm pretty sure it's a Gravity Group Woody. But yes, the correct answer is Coastersaurus at Legoland, Florida. Yes, I know it says Martin and Fleming's, but like, it says that for a lot of their wooden coasters. Unless they changed it recently. Yeah, no, they didn't. Yeah, because like if you look up Voyage, it doesn't even show So yeah, it's Gravity Group. It doesn't. It's kind of silly how they do it on here. But anyways, so Frontier Coasters now has 2 points. So there you go. Already, I see Civilian Satellite. See you. Best of luck on the flight, and hope you were able to make the best of a difficult situation, and you were still able to have a good time at Selva Magica and in Guadalajara. So safe travels, and thank you for coming for the stream. Alrighty, I do have my next coaster, so ask away. And I'm gonna have to do a little digging for this one. Let me just make sure. Okay, there we go. This is not Nessie, and it is not Coaster at Playland, and it is not at any park called Playland, but it is in America, so it is another U.S. coaster. It's not in China. It is not in North America. Sorry, it is in North America. Obviously, it's a U.S. coaster. It is not Dynaconda. It is wood. We do have a wooden coaster in the U.S. again. And it is not in Europe, not steel. It is not in California. It is not Cheetah. And it is not a B&M. And I have to look up the state because it's not on the West Coast, but I want to see if it's west of the Mississippi because it might be. It's kind of a close call, so I'm going to look at that up. Let me look at the state map. This coaster is west of the Mississippi. So on a technicality, like it is west of the Mississippi River, if that helps. But it's kind of in the middle of America, basically. It is not on the East Coast. It's not Wildcat. It is not a GCI coaster. It is not in Pennsylvania. It's not Renegade. Middle Coast. It's not touching the ocean. I can say that much. So that would rule out like Texas, basically. And I guess like Louisiana. Although Louisiana doesn't have anything. Let's see. It's not from Gravity Group. It's not Woodstock Express. It's not Arkansas Twister. It's not in Texas. It is not Outlaw Run. And it is not in Missouri. No, it's actually not Arkansas Twister. That was a great guess. Because that would have fit the bill, but it is not Arkansas Twister. It's not Zingo. It has PTC trains. However, this coaster has a bit of an obscure manufacturer who made it. So probably best not to go with manufacturer now that I mention it. Pretty obscure manufacturer listed. Technically in RCDB it doesn't even have a manufacturer listed, but I went somewhere else. So it is not Outlaw, and it is not Rampage, and it is not Wildcat at Frontier City, and it is not the National Amusement Devices, I think is the acronym for that. This is not built by them. It is not Blue Streak at Cedar Point or Blue Streak at Conneaut. It's neither of those. So keep going. There's been some answers that have been somewhat close, I'll say that. It is not Cyclone at Lakeside Park. James got it. It is Tornado. So, Tornado at Adventureland. So that is the correct answer. James got it. Congrats there. So James is on the board. And there you go. So yep, it is Tornado. The listed manufacturer according to Wikipedia is Frontier Construction Company, and it was designed by William Cobb. So there is your thing. Alrighty, we have our next coaster, which will be round 6, I believe. Yep, this will be round 6. Alrighty, is it made of steel? Yes, we do have a steel coaster. It's not Nessie. Sorry. It is not a wooden coaster, but it is in North America, and it is in the US, so we do have another US coaster, but this one is steel. So, US steel coaster, I know, really narrows it down. Does it have a nice soundtrack? As far as I'm aware, this coaster does not have a soundtrack at all. But I have not ridden this coaster. I guess that's somewhat of a hint. Although, is it? I guess we'll see. It is not on the East Coast, but it is on the eastern side of the US. And it is not a B&M. It is not in California. It is not Riddler's Revenge. It is not a B&M. It's not from Intamin. It's not Georgia Scorcher. It's not from Schwarzkopf. And it is not Orion. I've actually ridden most of those. Although you probably didn't hear the answer that I said I had. I have not ridden this coaster. So it's not Riddler's Revenge. I've ridden that. It's not Georgia Scorcher. I've ridden that. And it's not Orion. I've ridden that. It is not defunct. It's still operating. This is not from Mock Rides. It's not Twisted Cyclone. I've ridden Twisted Cyclone. It is not an Arrow. So what do we have so far? Just steel coaster in the US that doesn't have a soundtrack that I have not ridden. It is not Steel Curtain, but it is a Vekoma coaster. So it is a steel Vekoma coaster in the US. On the East Coast, or not on the East Coast, on the eastern side of the U.S., I should say. It's not on the coast. It doesn't touch the water. It's not Zach Zoomer, or it doesn't touch the ocean, I should say. It is not over 200 feet. It's not a family coaster. It's not Big Bear Mountain. It's not SPF Visa. It does have inversions. It is not an SLC. And it is not Mind Eraser. It's not Batwing. It's not Boomerang. Although, I think we're getting a little warmer. We'll see. It is at a Cedar Fair park, but it is not an SLC. It is not Nighthawk. It is not Fly. It is not Jolly Rancher Remix. It is not Nighthawk. Nighthawk. It is not Blue Hawk. I have ridden that one too. It's not Flying Aces. It is not a Boomerang model. Well, actually, wait, my bad. It is a form of Boomerang. Yes. It is a form of a Boomerang. I'll say that much. But I guess I kind of gave away that it is not a sit-down Boomerang. So, but it is a form of Boomerang. It's not Flying Cobras. It's not Flying Ace Aerial Chase. But Charged on PC was the first one on my screen to get it. It is indeed in Vertigo at Kings Island. I kind of was wanting to bring back having said that I have not ridden it because I've been to Kings Island. I just didn't ride in Vertigo, but that is the correct answer. Charged on PC has a point. So there you go. So next we'll go into our 7th round. And all right, I have our next coaster. There we go. And actually should have mentioned this, and I'll mention this. This segment, oh wait, no, this segment was actually one of the other segments I'm going to have to give credit. I mean, this one was more of a thing that me and Jace kind of played around with before we ever implemented these into the streams, and then we implemented this into the stream, the random RCDB coaster segment. Is it a steel coaster? Oh wait, hold up, I missed some. It's not Nessie, it's not a wooden coaster, but it is a steel coaster. It's not Thunder Run, it's not Busch Gardens Williamsburg, it's not Bisbee's Spiral Airship. Serious, I gotta look up what the frick that is. It sounds familiar, and you said it was in California, so Queens. Oh God, yeah, that thing. Yeah, that's a funny one. It's not that ride. It is not Jungle Trailblazer, but it is in North America. So we so far have Steel Coaster in North America. It's not a SeaWorld park. So like I said, Steel Coaster in North America. Not at a SeaWorld park. It's not Octonauts. It is at a chain park. So Steel Coaster in North America at a chain park. It is not in California. It is not Red. It is not Behemoth. It is a B&M. So it is a B&M steel. I guess it's a B&M coaster in the U.S. and it is at a Six Flags. So you have a B&M coaster at a Six Flags park in the U.S. It is not Ferry 325. It's not Dragonfire. It is not Yukon Striker. It is a Batman clone charged on PC. Got it right on the dot again. It is Goliath at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. So charged on PC gets another point. And that'll lead us into the final round of Guess the Coaster. And I will make this one an international one because we haven't really gotten that much of those. So it will not be in the United States. I'll give you that hint, but I'm still finding the coaster. Okay, let's see. Can I get something? Come on, give me something. Come on. RCDB is not wanting to give me anything. Okay, we'll work with it. We have our next coaster. This coaster is in Europe, so yes, and it's not Nessie. So there you go. Let's see. Oh, that's where the repeating names come into play. I guess I could have asked for what park, but whatever. Charged on PC, you still got it. But anyways, so it is a European coaster. Not Bigsby's or Bisbee's Spiral Airship. I want to say Bigsby, but it's not. It's not in Canada. It's not in Asia. It is a B&M, so we have a B&M coaster in Europe, which also makes it a steel coaster. It is not Hollywood Dream. It is in Germany. It is not a family coaster, so we have a B&M coaster in Germany. It is not in France, not Intamin, it's not Star Trek, it is not a Vekoma, it's not Gold Rush, it's not in Spain. Ooh, Marty got it. First for me, although it was really close with Andre right behind. It was like neck and neck, but I'm going to give it to Marty because it showed up first on my screen. It is Silver Star at Europa Park. So that was ridiculously close. Another really close call, kind of like what we had with, I think, Stamford Bridge and Frontier Coasters earlier. But yes, that is the correct answer. But like I said, that was like really close. Alrighty, so so now that we're counting charged on PC, Frontier Coasters, you two are tied. So I think we're actually gonna do a bonus round to determine a winner. Yeah, so only charged on PC and Frontier Coasters will participate. This will be a tiebreaker round to determine the winner of Guess the Coaster, since we've kept a scoreboard. So it'll be between them two. So I am my coaster. Guess away. Those in chat, don't try to answer it, but if you want to ask questions, you can. So, yeah. Is this a steel coaster? Yes, it is a steel coaster. It is, it's not Nessie. It is not in the USA though, so another international one. But it is a steel coaster. It is not Bisbee's Spiral Airship. So far we have steel coaster. It is not a family coaster. It does not have pumpkin in the name, and it is not in Europe. It is not in Germany. It is not a Vekoma coaster. So far, we have steel coaster that is international, but not in Europe. It is not a GCI. It is not a B&M. There is not an animal in the name. That actually is an useful question, but there is not. It is in Asia, so we have an Asian steel coaster. And it is in the UAE, so we have a steel coaster in the UAE. But still are looking for some other things. We'll see. It is not a Togo. It is not Flying Aces. It's not Formula Rosa. Good guesses. It's not Velociraptor. It's not Formula Mansa. It's not the new Mansa that opened up. It's not Ferrari Coaster. It's not Spider-Man. It is not Eel Racing Coaster. It is in a mall. It very much, it is in a mall. So yes, this coaster is in a mall. It is not the Bollywood Wooden Coaster. It is not Epic Coaster. It's not Red Force. It's not Manta. Charged on PC, got it. It is Storm Coaster. That is the correct answer. So yes, this coaster was in a mall. Which was actually a very, very helpful question by Stamford Bridge there. So there you go. And so Charged on PC is our Guess the Coaster champion. There you go. So congratulations there. And that'll do it for Guess the Coaster. So for our next segment, we will be doing Buy or Sell. And this is, of course, a segment that if you watch Airtime Thrills, I asked him for permission to use this segment. Basically, you'll give me your takes, whether they're predictions or related to like actual like coaster, sort of what is better than something else. You'll give me that and I'll buy or sell it. And we're going to put this on a time limit. And you'll have about, we'll say 15 minutes to put your stuff in. So buy or sell. Buy or sell, copyrighted by Airtime Thrills. Brought to you by Airtime Thrills, basically. So sponsored segment, basically. Go check him out if you haven't already. I have fell behind on his. I feel so bad because I always love his documentaries, and I've just kind of fallen behind because I'm busy. But he's doing his the Astro World documentary. Make sure to check that out. Give those some views. That took a lot of time for him to do, so gotta plug that in also. All right, let's see what we're doing. With Rye Plant, which, by the way, if you didn't know, Rye Playland has officially closed down their Peril of Volaire. I think it was called Soarin' Eagle. Will they bring back the airplane coaster in some form? I've seen some people bring that up, and I love the idea. Do I buy it? I mean, I need to look at how tight of a space. I think did they not have plans to like bring it back in a form? The problem is it's just like such a tight space. Super Flight. Soarin' Eagle is the one at Coney Island. Thank you. They're both in New York. Close enough, right? But yeah, that coaster is gone. Like it's not officially removed, but it's closed for good. I think it's still like standing but not operating, but it's gone for like the sake of that. Would I bet on it? Probably not, but I love the idea. So I will buy it because I love the idea. I'm not willing to bet on that happening, but I just love the idea, and if they could figure out a way to make it work, I think they would try it. So I actually do like that. Buy or sell, despite the great reviews, there will be no more surf coaster model coasters. I will sell that. I think, granted, it's just kind of rumors and talks. And who knows if there's anything legit to this, but it's just sort of sort of speculation. But I've heard some rumors that Kings Island might actually be eyeing the surf coaster. This is just stuff that's been kind of thrown around online. Who knows if it's actually legit or not. but I could kind of believe it as like a spiritual like King Cobra replacement, and it would give him a launch coaster, a modern one. So I'm actually gonna sell that. I think we'll see at least a few more pop up. So I'm going to sell that one. Let's see. Buy or sell. Disney will invest in a new extreme coaster in the next 20 years. That's an interesting one. It appears they're gonna want to be building a new. I think the expectation is they probably are the. I think people believe that they're gonna be building a new park in Disney World as a new park as part of the resort. I think people are expecting that to happen, and no one knows what that really would be and what would make sense. But perhaps an extreme coaster will go there. So you know what? I am going to buy this. I think they will get a new extreme coaster in the next 20 years. It kind of depends on your definition of extreme. Some people might argue Cosmic Rewind would fit that. I assume you'd be talking more on along the lines of like a rock and roller coaster. I think that would be considered an extreme coaster. I think they could get something to that caliber in the next 20 years. Let's see. Superflight was the roughest coaster you've ridden. Buy or sell. Cedar Fair needs to buy back. No, I'm still selling this. I think it is really weird that they did give Great America the new that they're refurbishing like an entire area, rethemed a few rides, and they added in a new ride. But I still don't think they're actually buying back Great America. I think it will go at some point, but it is very interesting. But I'm gonna sell the idea that Cedar Fair is buying back Great America. Buy or sell. Kennywood's next coaster will be a Vekoma family invert. That's such a specific like ask for like what they would get that I would have to sell it. Even though I think it could make sense for their lineup, I am going to sell it just simply because it's like I don't know what they would get. I think it's something that would make sense, but that's just like really specific. So I'm gonna sell it. Surf coaster capacity at Kings Island. It's just rumors. So it's like, and like I said, it's like stuff it's something to take. I don't even think it's something to take super seriously. I just have kind of seen it get thrown around, so I don't know if there's actual truth to it or if it's kind of BS, but it's something that it's kind of like I've heard it get thrown around and it's like, that maybe makes sense. Apocalypse at Magic Mountain will receive track work in some sections in the next 5 years. Yeah, I think probably, because I mean that weather is just brutal. I think it'll get to a point where they will need to, so I will buy it. Probably like toward the later end of 5 years, but probably will happen. Oh, okay. So this is something I've seen get thrown around, and no offense to the question. I think it's a good question, but in my opinion, this is like kind of one of like sort of the worst theories I've seen on what will happen with the surf coaster trains. I'm gonna sell this. Surf coasters are built with the train in mind. Someone ring the doorbell, so I don't know what that's about. But anyways, the surf coasters, they just, I mean, their layout is made to work with the train. So I just do not believe they're going to put surf coaster trains on coasters that were not made for it. So I'm going to completely sell that. I think it's like one of the sillier sort of like theories. Like, no offense, it's a good question, but because I've seen it get thrown around a lot, but I'm like, there's no way they're going to do that. It just doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't think that's something you can just plug in on coasters now that we kind of know what it does and what pipeline is actually like. Buy or sell. Six Flags will retheme coasters and claim they are new. If that, like, if you're expecting that to be their big new strategy, I am going to sell that. Like, I don't think that's going to be a huge thing that they're going to do, so I'm going to sell it. Buy or sell. The rumors of the first Axis coaster coming to a new Saudi park will end up being false. I am going to sell that. I think it's legit. It's not. I honestly, I feel pretty comfortable in saying they're not really rumors. I mean, it showed in the concept art that those were the Axis coasters, and we had heard from some people who attended IAPA that at least a few of them were sold overseas, and this would kind of make sense as like the first locations. It's very weird, but I do think these end up being like, I think this is actually happening. Well, whether or not like the project ends up falling through and like something happens, that's a whole different story, but I'm gonna sell that. I think this is like legitimately happening. Because the other rides in the concept art, like, they looked like actual rides, like made by actual manufacturers and like whatnot. Yes, they could be like just used for like the concept art, but I think it's legit. Knott's Berry Farm needs to reopen Accelerator. Well, I'm gonna buy that because they do need to, and I think it'll happen. So I'll buy that. Buy or sell. El Toro will be operating in the next 20 years. I think that would be pretty surprising. I mean, I shouldn't say that should be pretty surprising. Because it's so kind of hard to say, because of the whole situation with it. Will it be too aggressive for itself? I think if push came to shove, they would be willing to like put steel track on it if that was what was needed to fix it. So I am going to buy it. I think it will happen. I mean, although it's hard to say, if it has another accident that's like to the level of the ones that have happened recently, then I think it would close. But if it's something where it's just like, it's that or it closes, like they fully steel retrack it or they close it, I think they would put steel track on it. So I will buy it, optimistically. Buy or sell. Nagashima Spa Land will also upgrade their shuttle loop in the next 10 years. Ooh. Oof, man. I think I do. You know what? Nagashima, they could do with a new coaster project, and that would make sense. So I actually will buy that. I like where your head's at with that. I mean, I don't like that it would happen, but I could certainly see that happening. So I do like what you're thinking there. So I will buy it. Buy or sell. Conneaut Lake Park will reopen, but on a much smaller scale. Technically, it is open right now. It just kind of is in a weird state. So I mean, I'll buy it just because simply it like is open, just in like kind of a weird state. So like, yeah, that's a kind of no-brainer just because of that. Let's see what else. Let's see. I think I got through everything. So I'll wait like another minute, and if anyone has any more buy or sells, I'll answer this. I'll answer it, but if not, then I'll kind of wrap it up. Buy or sell. This is buy or sell. I'll definitely buy that one. This is buy or sell, certainly. Or maybe it isn't. Buy or sell. Six Flags Maui will open before Six Flags Fresno. I'll sell that because at least they've actually looked into a park in Fresno, which automatically makes it more likely than one going to Maui. Because, yeah, they, as far as I know, they have not looked into that. So, definitely sell. I don't think either happen, but if one were to happen, I think Six Flags Fresno is more likely because at least they've actually done the research, at least a little bit into that. Alrighty, so, alright, now we're getting a few more, so I guess we'll keep the timer going. Buy or sell. California will receive a coaster drought soon in the future due to California factors. I could certainly see where you're coming from. It's it's a pretty tricky thing because I mean I think 2024 I wouldn't be surprised if there's like literally nothing. Because the Fast and Furious coaster, we'll see if it ends up opening in 2024 or 2025. I do believe that's happening. But I mean, we're gonna be having the World Cup. The World Cup is coming to at least one venue, if not a few, in California. So I think some parks would be willing to add some stuff to like kind of entice people to come in for that. And then we're also hosting the Olympics in 2028. So I think some parks will add some coasters and stuff before that. So I will like kind of sell it, but I do think next year could be pretty dire. Like I think 2024 there's not going to be much. But I think stuff will kind of ramp up again a little bit after that. But I could see where you're coming from with that. It's a good question. Buy or sell. Six Flags will try to expand internationally by branding with other parks. Good, another one, because I mean they're doing it with Qiddiya. We've seen them do it with other projects. I think I'm gonna say sell because I think they won't do it for a while until they kind of see how Six Flags Qiddiya does. And if that works out, and if there's like other either upcoming parks or some existing parks that would want to use the branding, I think they'd be willing to give it to them afterwards. But I think they kind of want to see how that goes, for sure. All right, so there's about like 15 more seconds, just about. With this, and I think I'll wrap up this segment. So put in your questions in now, and I have officially hit the timer, so I am going to put end here. And we have 2 more questions that just came in. With other parks expanding internationally, Cedar Fair will try to expand internationally. I'm going to sell. I think Cedar Fair is very content with what they're already doing. I mean, they have Canada's Wonderland, but I don't really see them doing anything else. And they always acquire parks, and I don't know that they would go outside of North America, is kind of the big thing. And it's kind of like, okay, if you want to go to other parks that are outside of the US and North America, there's like not really hardly any options for them to acquire. So I'm going to sell that. And then buy or sell. Leesburg will get a major coaster within the next 2 years. So they're getting Luna this year. Let me look at their kind of timeline to kind of see if that's realistic. I think they probably consider Luna as kind of a major coaster, even though it's a family boomerang. It's like the largest one, and they're doing some theming around it. I'm actually going to sell it because I think that was a significant investment for them. And I think they just opened, or they're opening a hotel this year that's pretty expensive. So I think I'm going to sell that because I think they're, yeah, because like besides that, like they did Helix in 2014, Valkyria in 2018, then they did Luna in 2023. I think they're probably not even going to add a coaster in the next 2 years, realistically. So I am going to sell that one from Stamford Bridge. Alrighty, so that is buy or sell. And that will lead us into the last segment of the stream before our final Q&A, which is our other game. Which this was, of course, Theme Park Guy Productions on Instagram. He does Coaster Hangman, so credit to him for really coming up with the idea and allowing me for me to use it. That, of course, was a while back, but another sort of segment that I want to give credit to. Of course, also previous guests of the stream. Zach from Theme Park Guy Productions. Make sure to check him out on Instagram or YouTube for that matter. And yeah, we'll get started with this game once I can kind of get this up and going. Hold on, I have to readjust things. It's been a little while since I've done these, so yeah, okay. I think we got it. Let's see. Okay, so I need to bring it up. Yeah, this is the part where like being out for so long, it's kind of like, oh, it's kind of hard to come back in. Okay, I think we got it. Let me know if you can see the screen all good and everything, and we'll get started on this right away. So Coaster Hangman is coming up, and that will also have a scoreboard on it. All right, everyone, Frontier Coaster says yes, so we'll get started right away. So basically, you kind of know how this works. You try to guess it, but you try to guess the letters first, and whoever's first to get it gets it. And there's no actual hang person because Zach does that. I do not have the capacity to do that. That would be way too much work, especially on a computer. So we're not doing that. But yeah. Alrighty, buy or sell. I will post regularly. Hopefully buy for this summer. Obviously this is a return stream, but welcome Mason to the stream. But yeah, buy or sell just ended. Is there an A? And yes, we have a single A. Is there? It is not boomerang. It is not boomerang, but it does have one E. And there are no D's. So we'll put that there. It is not anaconda. There is no S either. It is not boomerang. I'm telling you, it's not boomerang. It's not Nessie Ape. There is not a C. There is one N. There is multiple O's. And there is an R. There is a G. And Frontier Coasters was the first to get it. It is not boomerang, but zoomerang at Lake Compound. So Frontier Coasters is on the board. So yeah, there you go. All right, moving on to our next coaster. So guess away. E. It does have a single, no, two E's actually. So there are two E's. Let's see. There is no A's, believe it or not. It is not anaconda. It does have a single L. It does not have an I. There is one O. There is no U. There is no D. It's not Terminator. There is also no C. However, there is one R. There is no H. There is no P. There already was an L. That's already in there. There is not a J. Welcome, Ambassador from the Enthusiast Roundtable. Actually, subscribe to Enthusiast Roundtable. The Ambassadors just started up the series up again within the last few weeks. Really good series. If you like Coaster Time, you'll love that as well. So make sure to check that out on the new channel. Happy to have you here. Oh, okay, so Stamford Bridge got it. It is Verbolten. He was the one who got it first. Yes, it was misspelled, but you get the gist. I'm not gonna be like super critical. It is indeed Verbolten. So good job to Stamford Bridge on getting that one. Alrighty, so then we'll move on to our third round. So guess away. So this one is a pretty short name. We'll see if that means that it'll be a fast one or not. There is no A. There is no Y. However, there are indeed two E's. It is not coaster. I think that's an I, and there is an I in this one. There is no N. There is no O. It is not Voyage. And Frontier Coasters, wow, that one was super close. Frontier Coasters got it, just barely. It is indeed Ice Speed at Mirabilandia. So Frontier Coasters officially has 2 points. Congratulations. Alrighty. So we'll move on to round 4, which has multiple words. So there you go. So that is going to be the fourth round. There's going to be 8 rounds in total. Should mention that. But yep, fourth round, here we go. Not Bisbee Spiral Airship. However, this coaster does have 2 A's. And there are 2 E's. And Charged on PC got it like right off the bat almost. It is indeed Batman the Ride. The park doesn't really matter, but that's just where I got it from on RCDB. So Charged on PC is on the board with a point. And that officially puts us past our halfway point for this game. So we'll go to round 5. Alrighty, so guess away. Most energy draining coaster you've ridden. I can't quite say the Magic Mountain one, but I'll agree that it's Batman the Ride. Let's see. There is, believe it or not, no E in this one. There is also no T. However, there is a single I. It's not Batman Ride. There is no D. but there is a single A, and there is one R. Let's see. It's not El Toro. It's not Gale Force. Oh, wait. Oh, you're just saying those are like some draining ones. There is no N. Yeah, Batman the Ride, one of the absolute most forceful coasters ever. That's for sure. Just reacting to the comments. There is no M. There is no Y. However, we do have one C. Let's see if that helps. And there is a single B. This will probably now just be a mad rush to see who gets it first, because it probably has become quite obvious at this point. So, or maybe not. We'll see. Maybe it isn't super obvious. Oh, well, Stamford Bridge got it. I figured someone was going to get it. It is indeed Furious Baco at Port Aventura, which actually is kind of weird coincidence. I do these through RCDB to get a recognizable coaster, and so we have two coasters that I've actually ridden back to back. But yes, it is indeed Furious Baco, so Stamford Bridge gets a second point. Yep, there we go. Alrighty, so we'll move on to our next coaster. That's not the way to do it. There we go. Here is our next coaster, which, I guess somewhat of a spoiler, will be the longest name you'll have to deal with of this bunch. So, get ready for this one. V is part of it. So yes, good thinking by Frontier Coasters. That the is a word in it, so I will reward that. There is no D. Yes, a lot of letters, but not that one. It is not Hagrid's. Not Hagrid is not involved. Wow, the spacing looks really weird. Let's see. There is 1A, which seems ridiculous for how long of a name this is, but that's where we're at. There are two E's, although that's including the one we already have. So let's see. It's not Superman the Ride. Ride is not a part of it. It is not Superman the Ultimate Escape. It's not related to Superman at all. Superman is not in the name. So, yep, we're still a long ways away. I don't believe this one has an S. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it does not, which is kind of crazy. However, it does have multiple L's. And there is, let's see, 2 B's. And let's see, is there an I? Yep, multiple I's. And there are... Oh, well, it looks like 808 Coaster Life is the one who got it. It is Oblivion, the black hole from Gardaland in Italy. This is the B&M dive coaster. So yes, pretty difficult one for sure. So yes, Oblivion, the black hole. And that will put 808 Coaster Life on the board. All right, we'll move on to our next one, which hopefully won't be quite as difficult, but we'll see. And good job, Jace. That was a difficult one. So there you go. And just for reference on the scoreboard, Frontier Coasters has 2, Stamford Bridge has 2, Charged on PC has 1, and 808 Coaster Life has 1. We have 2 more rounds left. It is not the Batman. And Batman is not involved in the name. It's not the Riddler. And actually, the is not part of the name either. So you can, that is not part of it. And Riddler's not part of the name either. It's not the Legend. And it's not Legend. Legend is not part of the name also. There is a single, E. And there is a single A. However, there are no T's. It is not Der Flitzer. It's not Das Kapital. One of those I'm not even is not a coaster. It is not the Scream. However, Scream is part of the name. So, I will reward that. So, yeah, Scream is part of it. And Charged on PC got it. It is Sky Scream. So that was actually, Marty, that actually was pretty good. You just, just wasn't quite there. But just certainly a pretty good guess, honestly. Yes, it is Sky Scream at Holiday Park. And that'll give Charged on PC the second point. I would have given it to you for the one that was slightly spelled off. I'm not going to be super crazy with this. So, yeah. And then we'll move on to our last round, round 8. And, oh, shoot. I probably should have prepped. We could have a multiple way tie here, which I think might have to be decided by a game of Guess the Coaster, because I don't really want to set up another Hangman round, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is not Big Dipper. It is not The Beast, and the is not part of it. Oh my gosh, and out of absolutely nowhere, this is one of the snipes of the century. It is Skyrocket. James got it without any letters. Unbelievable. Wow. I mean, that is ridiculous. My goodness. So yes, that is the correct answer. Skyrocket at Kennywood. Oh my gosh, that is insane. Which does still mean we are in a 3-way tie. But let's see. What can I do here? It's so... I'm trying to figure out what to do here. I should, for future reference, make some extra ones. But wow, that is insane. Sky Scream is a Skyrocket model. That's true. So I think we will go with another. We'll decide it and Guess the Coaster. So this will be between Frontier Coasters, Stamford Bridge, and Charged on PC. They will be the ones playing this tiebreaker game. So that's going to be how that's going to work. So I just need to get the coaster because I still haven't gotten it yet. But yeah, for future reference, I'll just make some tiebreaker ones. All right, we have our coaster. Guess away. And only Stamford Bridge, Charged on PC, and Frontier Coasters will participate. However, anyone in the chat can ask questions. You just cannot guess a coaster, if that makes sense. Kind of like what we did last time. James got the last one, but it was the only one that they got. It is not Nessie, but it is Steel. It is not Prowler, and it is in the USA. So we have Steel Coaster in the USA. It's not Flying Rose. There's still some troll ones. It's not Bisbee Spiral Airship. Is it SB&O? Well, it is technically defunct. However, the coaster does remain standing. So yes, that is actually an excellent question. This coaster is defunct, but as far as I'm aware, it has not been torn down like physically yet. So, defunct coaster, Steel Coaster in the US. It is not Wild Thing. It's not Iron Steel Quasi. Oh, Frontier Coasters, he got it. It is T3. It is T3. So, Frontier Coasters got it. Wow. Alright, so yes, it is indeed T3. That was the correct answer. It is defunct, but I believe it's still standing there. It's going to be taunting me when I go to Kentucky Kingdom in a little while here, unfortunately. But yes, that is the correct answer. So that makes Frontier Coasters our winner. Congratulations. So, yeah, fantastic job. And Frontier Coasters won both the quiz and Coaster Hangman. So fantastic. There you go. All right, so that'll lead us into our final Q&A. We're getting close to 3 hours here. I actually thought this was going to be a bit of a shorter stream, but I guess it went about the average length. So there we go. But final Q&A, any last questions anyone has about anything, news, or other things just in general, let me know, and I'll be answering them here. And I'll probably wrap up at 11:10 Eastern time. It's probably what I'm thinking. So, yeah. Favorite Disneyland nighttime spectacular. So you see, I actually, even though I've been to Disney a decent amount of times, sometimes I just, kind of don't watch those. Although, to be fair, at Disneyland, the last times I went to Disneyland specifically, they didn't have those things available. It was just fireworks. They didn't have, like, Fantasmic, because it was, like still very close to reopening. But World of Color Disney California Adventure is basically what I'm familiar with, so I have to go with that just based off it being the only option. But it is pretty cool. So World of Color would be the one I'd have to go with there. What is the most intense coaster I've ridden? So if you're going by purely like most truly forceful, I would actually give it to Batman the Ride at Over Georgia. However, I believe the most intense, like just the most crazy coaster with like the most insane elements that I think argue is the most intense would be X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. So, yeah, that is the my answer there. Let's see. What else? What's all the parks that I'm visiting on a Hollywood Nights trip? Let's see. So, obviously Holiday World, I've already been there, but doing it for Hollywood Nights. Hopefully Beach Bend, pending Kentucky Rumbler status. since it, got some Titan track and hopefully is reopened today or will soon. Kentucky Kingdom, and then there's like a very teeny chance I might go to the Malibu Jacks in Louisville just to get the SBF Visa credit, plus the little flat ride they have that actually looks kind of fun. But that one is like, that's a very much a maybe. I'd even say probably doubtful, but it's possible. Let's see, something. I am not actually living in my own place. It's just my family moved. That's not what happened. Yeah, my family moved. That was, if that was confusing, no, I'm still with my family. We just moved. So I can't really answer that question. If you thought I was living on my own, I am not. That's not what's going on. So I cannot answer there. What is my most anticipated coaster in Asia? You could flip a coin between Edgenica and Dynaconda, but it'd be one of those two, whichever one. Honestly, I probably Edgenica because it's more realistic for me to do, especially sooner. So Edgenica at Fuji-Q Highland for sure would be my most anticipated in Asia. What was the biggest number of watchers you got up to? Oh, today. I thought you were. I saw the question. I was like, was it going to be in general? I honestly haven't been looking at it. I think we had like around 13, something like that. Nothing too crazy today. But we've had some people coming in and out. So I think it was around 13. But if you're asking in general, I think the Coaster Time streams we've gotten up to like around, I think around 50 to 60, with some certain guests, just because of like, how many viewers they brought in. I think, Theme Park Crazy, El Tour Orion, and, one of the Airtime Thrills streams got like a really high amount of views, like at the time that it was going on, so those were happening. But the biggest number of watchers I've had in a stream was not in a Coaster Time stream. It was actually during I think it was the live stream reaction to Fiesta Texas. I had, I think, over 100 people were watching at one point, which was insane. And that was overall just a crazy stream. That, in terms of my reaction streams, I think that's got to be easily my favorite. Just because it's like, that one was really a mystery of what was going to happen, what was going to be announced. So that one was like actually insane. For sure. Let's see. Loudest coaster at Magic Mountain, Superman Escape from Krypton. It's the loudest coaster I've ever had to be by. It's not even really close. I've heard Max Force might have something to say about that, but I haven't been near it, so I can't really say anything there. Let's see. What else? Indiana Beach? No. Indiana Beach is like really far out of the way, and on top of that, it's called All American Triple Loop, which, look, I'm happy that Indiana Beach was able to save that coaster, and I'm really excited to check out the park whenever I get the opportunity to. But I'm not a big fan of the name All American Triple Loop. I don't know. It's just kind of like, really? It's just like really long, and it's kind of like, it's kind of weird for a coaster also that's kind of been like all over the place, like not in America. I just was kind of like, I'm not a big fan of that name. But I'm excited for that coaster to open whenever it gets the opportunity to. So, yeah, it's not going to be open by the time I go, and therefore it's not really, I would rather go there when that's open, because that's such a difficult park to get to. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's 2 visits where I'm going to Indiana and I'm not going to Indiana Beach. So that's pretty unfortunate. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people watch the Fiesta Texas stream. They can probably remember that one a little bit. So that one, like I said, was absolutely insane. And I'm hopefully we have some announcements. I'd love to do some more reaction streams. With the work and the job, that might be a little more difficult for me to actually be able to do, because I'd have to require me to be off when something's being announced. But if it works out, I'd love to do some more of that if it is able to happen. Yeah, Superman Escape from Krypton, it probably is the loudest coaster in the world. I mean, I'd be stunned if there was something that was somehow louder. So, we'll see. Favorite manufacturer? This is such a tough question because it's like, it's always it's probably, just because it's based off what I've written, it's between RMC and Intamin. It's like really close between the two of them. Intamin has more variety, but RMC, like, they're just, general coaster is like by far the highest ranked of any manufacturer I've done where I've written, more than like 3 coasters. So it's so difficult. I'm gonna have to go with RMC, but I think if I experience some of Intamin's like better stuff, it could very well be Intamin, for sure. And Gravity Group's certainly up there, but I've only written Voyage, though I have written some of the stuff that they've retracked, so I'm also a big fan of their work in that department for sure. Also, so should mention that one. My credit count is officially at 141. I just had to update it on Instagram because I realized I didn't include the kitty coaster until I updated it, like, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. So I am at 141. Hopefully we'll get to 150 on this trip. It kind of depends on if it would require me to get every new credit possible, minus the Malibu Jacks, although I guess you could put that in there, because between Holiday World, I still need Howler, so I'm probably going to get that credit. Beach Bend, they have 3 credits, so hopefully I would get the 3, which will put me at 145, and then there's 5 operating coasters at Kentucky Kingdom, so that would put me at 150. So I'm hoping to get there, just for the sake of doing it. You're hoping to hit Indiana Beach by the end of June, hoping it's open by then. Hopefully. It seems like they're progressing quite quickly. It's just, it's not going to be open by the time I'm there. That's for sure. But I hope it's open for you by then, because it looks pretty sick. It looks like it should be pretty fun. Magic Mountain is the most overrated SoCal theme park you've been to. It doesn't make your top 3. If you have a bad visit there, I can totally get behind that. But for me, I've had both, and fortunately, I'm happy to say that my visits with Jace were definitely more on the good side. There were certainly some Six Flags moments, which you'll probably kind of see in the next few vlogs. I won't go into too much detail. And also in Jace's thoughts also, but there were certainly some moments, but overall it was quite good. I mean, all 16 adult coasters were open over the span of 2.5 days, when it's technically not like the true peak season yet. It's like right before. So that certainly was good. But like I said, I can understand it if you do not have a good visit, and also depending on what you value, because maybe you might be like the 2 Disney parks and Knott's or something like that, depending on if you really like theming. I could totally see that as well. So yeah, I could certainly see it. It's my number 2 park in California currently, behind Disneyland. So yeah, Magic Mountain is magical. The coaster lineup is. I'm not gonna say a whole lot else is, but certainly the coaster lineup is. And it's a fun time for sure. Thoughts on coaster at Blackbeard's? Yes, so Jace, of course, is asking me this. Unfortunately, we did not get this on video, so you will not be seeing a video of it on Jace's channel. But yes, we wrote it like pretty much 20 minutes, maybe, like within a half hour of him probably coming to Fresno, or me picking him up from the airport, which was kind of a weird, crazy sort of story. Basically, I don't really know where I'm going in the city still when I'm driving around, so I knew Blackbeard's was kind of near the airport, but I picked up Jace. I asked him if he wanted to get the credit. We were kind of like in the kind of like not really feeling it. And so I was driving around and I wanted to, we were going to find a place to get snacks, but I didn't know where I was going and I was wanting to get on Nav. And I was just like, okay, we'll just go into a parking lot somewhere and I'll get the Nav to work out. Well, I keep driving around and lo and behold, I end up right at Blackbeard. So it's kind of like, well, we're right there. We have to go there now. Which was kind of crazy. I like was completely lost. I had no idea where I was going, and we just stumbled upon Blackbeard's, which was great. So we got in there, got the coaster credit. It was $5 per person, but the ride-ops were really nice. Didn't really bat an eye. The fact that we were two enthusiasts going on a kiddie coaster. And the ride-op gave us basically unlimited cycles. Basically, she allowed us to ride the coaster for as many cycles as we wanted until we asked to stop it. And we probably got between 7 to 10 cycles on it. So it was quite good. And the first drop on it was actually pretty good for kiddie coaster standards. Had some bite to it. And the airtime hill also had some pretty nice airtime on it, especially as it kind of warmed up through the ride. So as far as kiddie coasters go, it's pretty good. I know it's kind of like a standard like layout, but I thought it was better than Canyon Blaster and Magic Mountain, which I actually get to re-ride for the first time in a long time. But yeah, the drop had some whip to it. Jace can attest to that. Pretty good kiddie coaster, really nice ops. If you're ever in Fresno, like, I mean, get the kiddie credit. Why not? I would recommend it for sure. It's based mostly, I mean, the coaster itself exceeded expectations. It's a pretty good kiddie coaster. And, the ride-ops were super nice, so I kind of have to recommend it. And it's like my local place, so, like I said, if you're ever in Fresno, go check it out. Did I find that extra Hollywood Nights ticket for my dad? So I guess I'll bring it up here. If anyone has an extra Hollywood Nights ticket or knows anyone with one, definitely let me know. Like either email me or let me know on Instagram because we're trying to get one for my dad. Because we were only able to get the one for myself because of the whole sort of situation. I'm still optimistic we'll be able to get one like at the event. There's probably going to be people who have an extra guest ticket that they didn't, the person they were meaning to go with couldn't go because that stuff kind of happens because there was like no refunds and you had to buy this back in December. So I'm still optimistic about getting it. But if I could get handled beforehand, before the actual event, I think that would just help things. So if anyone knows anybody, or if you have an extra ticket, let me know. It has to be a guest ticket because that would be what works. But yeah, I'll bring that up here. I'll mention it probably a few times more on Instagram because that would just be easiest to handle it that way. But like I said, I'm still pretty optimistic I can get that figured out. But thanks for asking. Let's see. Will Falcon's Flight open to the public? I mean, it's obviously getting way off the ground now. They're making good progress on it. It's still a super ambitious coaster, and the park is still a super ambitious project, so still a long ways to go, and a lot of potential problems could arise. But if I had to, like, guess, if you had to, like, ask me now, like, would I bet on it opening or not? I would say that I would be more on the side of it will actually open. So I'd say I feel like it's more likely that it will open than it won't, but I'm not at all certain it will. Like I would say 65-35% is kind of where I'm at with it. So hopefully that kind of answers that question. because I mean, with these, with just projects in the Middle East, sometimes they could make a good amount of projects and just kind of die for whatever reason. In Saudi Arabia itself, there's the world's tallest tower that is like mostly built, but construction hasn't like been working for like years, and at this point, it looks like that tower will never be completed. So it's kind of like it's something to keep in mind, even with the progress going on right now. Is that it's not a for sure thing until it opens. That's for sure. Yeah, well, that is the only thing that's for sure. Is it? We don't know if it'll open until it actually opens. So, yep. Digging barns are going down to the Midwest. That sounds fun. Worlds of Fun, Kings Island, Kennywood, Cedar Point Holiday World, and Silver Dollar City. Excellent collection of parks you're visiting. And I can certainly vouch for Kings Island, Cedar Point, and Holiday World. I think all of them are top 5 parks for me. Yeah, all of them are. So, high praise from me. Haven't been to Worlds of Fun, Kennywood, or Silver Dollar City yet, but all of those should be at least decent to incredible. So, should be pretty exciting. Hope everything works out there. All the rides are open, and you have a great time. That sounds like a really good trip. Let's see. If I had a ticket, you'd have gone to. Yeah. It was a pretty. I was very lucky to actually get my ticket. So because that was a whole crazy situation. Yep. It was quite the battle for it, for sure. Last question, it looks like. And also, thank you, Ambassador, for coming on. Best of luck to you and the new Enthusiast Roundtable. Like I said, if you aren't subscribed to him, make sure to. If you like Coaster Time, you'll like his podcasts and his Enthusiast Roundtables. So make sure to check him out for sure. And wanted to say that. So I think this will be the last question. Least favorite coaster name. I mean, I'm going to try to go off something that I've actually written, because I know the default answer is Pit Special. And although, okay, well, technically I haven't written it in its state, but I don't like the new Montezuma name. I'm just going to be straight up honest. I like a lot of what they're doing with the Fiesta Village at Knott's Berry Farm, but the new Montezuma name is just ridiculous. It's like Montezuma the Forbidden Fortress. I'm just kind of like, it's too complicated. It's unclear if it's like Montezuma's Revenge the Forbidden Fortress, or if it's just Montezuma the Forbidden Fortress. But I don't know. Too long of a name. It's just too much. I don't like that. So that one's kind of worth mentioning. One of my favorite coasters, but Medusa Steel Coaster, like, we can just call it Medusa Steel. We don't need coaster in the name. I think they could have just done without putting coaster. It's Medusa Steel. That's perfectly fine. You don't need to put coaster in it. I mean, everyone calls it Medusa Steel anyways, but its official name is Medusa Steel Coaster. So I don't really like that one based off what I've written. I'm literally just going through my credit count, like just seeing which ones I don't like. Let's see. Wonder Woman Flight of Courage is growing on me, but it's kind of a weird name still. I don't know. Not the biggest fan. Fahrenheit's always kind of been kind of a goofy name, to be honest. Also, but I know some people, I don't know if they actually, like, I know it's themed to like the degrees steep and whatever and what, yeah, but and some have claimed that it might be a reference to Fahrenheit 451, which I've never read. That's the name of the book, right? I got the numbers right. I've never read that. But I don't know. It's just kind of a silly name. What other ones are kind of bad? Let's see. Not a lot of these are standing out as being like that bad. Those ones are just kind of annoying because it's like some of them could be simplified. I mean, Fahrenheit's just kind of silly. Let's see what other ones we have. Let's see. Santa Monica West Coaster is just like, most people call it West Coaster. Oh, Riddler Mindbender is another bad one. It's like, it was Mindbender. Why does it have to be Riddler Mindbender now? And now the ride's way worse. So it downgraded in name and it's downgraded in quality. I mean, I didn't ride Mindbender before, but yeah. Outside of that, I think there's, like, I'm sure I could, like, go down more and more and find something that I don't like. Chippendale's Gadget Coaster is pretty bad. It used to be Gadget Go Coaster. Chippendale's Gadget Coaster, once again, it's just, like, too long. It's, like, just chill out a little bit. Speedy Gonzales Hot Rod Racers. That one also is like, come on. It's a kiddie coaster. We can chill out with the name. It's Speedy Gonzales or Hot Rod Racers. One of those. Just not all together. And I'm biased, but Boomerang Coast to Coaster is also another one that's like, just call it Boomerang. Or, yeah, just do that. Don't overcomplicate it. Just names that are like a little too extra are always going to be ones that I am not the biggest fan of, because I'm like, just New Revolution also, especially because it's now like Classic Revolution on the side. It's just in a complete identity crisis. That's another one I should mention. So those are some names I don't like. I mean, if you want me to rank a worst one, I think you can go with New Revolution, just because it's like now they're calling it Classic Revolution on the side. It's like kind of been a complete identity crisis. It's like, it could just be Revolution. Just go back to that and it would be good. Riddler Revenge. Yeah, Riddler Mindbender is also really bad. I think it's between them two. Those are really bad. I mean, I think it's between those two, because it's like the names were fine originally and they had to like screw them up. So, Riddler Revenge. Yeah, Riddler, not Riddler's Revenge. That's a good name. But Riddler Revenge at Six Flags New England. I haven't ridden that coaster, but yeah, that's an all-timer in terms of like bad names. I mean, I guess Mind Eraser is pretty horrible, but Riddler Revenge is not an upgrade. Silver Bullet's good. How could he not like the name? I mean, it's a cool name, Silver Bullet. Like, I guess he could just do Bullet, but I mean, I like Silver Bullet. I think it's a good name, at least to me. Scream. Yeah, Scream's a bad name. I agree there. Ice Speed. Yeah, I don't like that one either. And then, yeah, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure is also pretty terrible. Flight Deck is okay. I much prefer like Afterburn. So I just Scream, like, yeah, it's like an intimidating name, I guess, but I don't know. I just kind of like, it just, I think an extra reason why it's bad is, like, I'm okay with people screaming on coasters, but then you have those people who are just a little, like, not even a little, like, way over the top, and I feel like that ride name encourages people to be that way. Now, funnily enough, I've never had that issue on Scream itself, so I guess I can't really say it, like, actually is, like, that actually is how it is in real life, but, yeah, I don't like the name. I just don't like it. So I think that's gonna wrap it up. Went a little over what I said I would, but hey, that means we got some good questions, so I'm definitely happy with that. And with that being said, it'll probably be maybe like 2-ish weeks, maybe 3-ish weeks until the next thing, because of the trip going on. But I'll be ready to come back on. Actually, I'll probably do a stream Another one that's not with a guest, but just kind of focused on like the trip and what happened, because I'll probably have some thoughts there. So that'll probably be the next thing you can expect to see. But that'll be happening after the trip I'm doing. Hoping for a great time. Should be a fun trip that's going on for the Hollywood Nights trip, doing Holiday World, of course, along with a few new parks. So that's pretty exciting. And yeah, that should be just about everything. Thank you guys for, of course, coming on and being supportive even through the break. So I really appreciate that. And also, once again, for showing up to the return. So great to see all of you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. So with all of that being said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time here on Coaster Hour. See you guys.